Hello everyone, in this video we will be seeing what if Naruto was in the Boys Universe movie. So be sure to stick around until the end. Let's get started. How does one conquer a castle? Fair question, really. First, we have the old-fashioned ways, tried and true tactics passed down through the ages. And there are many. Most try besieging a castle from the outside. They throw themselves at its walls with reckless abandon until either they or their enemies break. Alternatively, you could wage your army against theirs, set fire to their fields outside, and let them choke in their beds. Ransack the towns nearby. Starve out its defenders slowly over a period of days, weeks, months, years even. It's an ugly process, let me tell you. I've seen it. Learn that lesson the hard way. Or you could take the road less traveled. Infiltrate, weave your way into their good graces. Make the king of said castle think you're one of his people, that you're his friend, his confidant, his buddy, his pal. Gain his trust, his confidence, undermine him from within, and then drive your dagger through his black heart. You see, the only real way to take down a castle, a kingdom, an enterprise, is from the inside, even if means hiding who you are, how you really feel, lurking behind a mask. I've always been good at that, hiding how I really felt, but I was never fond of the second option, you know? Always thought I could smash my way through any problem out there, or barring that, talk said problem down. Until this world, this ugly place. I wish I'd never landed here, been stranded here. You can shout and scream, but no one wants to listen. What's that? Keep your hands clean? Already tried that. I ranted, I raged. People didn't listen. They didn't want to. I lost face for trying, so I changed my face. Now we do things the shinobi way. You see, this rotten little world has taught me a little something. An immutable truth, you know? You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Shove its head underwater and it'll drown just to spite you. It has to drink of its own free will, its own volition, or there's no point. There are no gods or kings here, only mankind, no superheroes despite what they want you to think. Blessed by God, divine birthright. Pah! Don't make me laugh. I've seen a god. Gods these are not. They're all spoiled children with very few exceptions. But there is a castle. Vought is that castle. I'll take them down from the inside. And their world will crumble. 0.0.0. Oh my God, you're Black Noir! Huey leaned back from the counter, eyes bulging fit to burst. Black Noir, one of the seven, stared back, head tilting to the right as he looked on, an honest-to-God superhero in his little run-down store. Never thought he'd see the day. Clad from dead to dough in matte black armor, this particular soup lived up to his name and image alike. A silent hero, never speaking a word, never revealing his face in the public eye. No one knew what he looked like under that mask. Rumors flew fast and thick about him. Some said he was an alien from another world, others claimed he wasn't a man at all. Yeah, the New York rumor mill was one hell of a trip. Still, none of that mattered. One of the seven was right here, standing right in front of him, larger than life. Never in his life had he needed something so much, and never known until he received it. A-Train? Who the hell was a train? A-Train never came down to a place like this. Not him, not Homelander, not Queen Maeve, not Translucent, none of them. Which begged the question, now that he thought about it. Why come down to a place that barely saw any business? Hell, Noir was the only one here right now. That'd probably change once word got out, but still. What brings you all the way out here? He dithered a moment, wincing a little now as that blank black visor gazed at him. Kinda doubt you need a new remote, but hey, if you do. The masked man plucked something from his utility belt and held it out for him to inspect. Huey squinted at it. In short order, he found himself gazing at the picture of a young Asian woman with dark hair and dead eyes. She gazed blankly back at him within the photograph. Judging him, damning him, felt like she was staring into his soul. She looked lost, alone, afraid. A touch of pity stirred in his heart. Poor thing looked like she hadn't seen a good meal in days. Nor pulled a notepad from his utility belt, and a pen with it. Skirch, skirch, skirch went the pen. He turned said pad around for him to see. 2 words were revealed. Seen her? No. He swallowed once and looked away, feeling ashamed. Haven't seen anyone like that. Not around here. Away went the pen and paper. Noir made an exasperated noise and turned to leave. Oh, wait! The hero paused. Could I don't know. Huey scratched at the back of his head and immediately cursed himself for the slip. No, don't be a dumbass. Man up. He rallied and pushed on. Maybe get a picture for my wall? Noir didn't utter a word. That expressionless mask only stared at him. His resolve faltered. Right, no picture. How about an autograph? Out came the pen again. A pause. Noir's right arm gestured in a broad arc as if to say sign what, around the store. Panic bleated through Huey's brain. Right. Any old scrap of paper wouldn't do. If he signed his arm it would just wash off sooner or later. Here. He panicked and stretched out his uniform, the shirt he was even now wearing. Noir tilted his head. For a moment, just a moment, a single sliver of a second, he thought he saw a smile behind the cloth covering the lower half of his face. Impossible to tell behind all that thick fabric. Then it was gone and he stepped forward, plucking a marker from his belt in place of the pen. Noir wrote quickly, 4 little words lazily scrawled out in stark relief. Don't stop believing. And Noir. Huey damn near had a heart attack. Was that a pop culture reference? Damn near looked like one. That settled it. He was never washing this shirt. Ever. Screw what anyone said. He was mounting this damn thing on his wall. Framing it, too. He'd never sell it. Thanks, man. I owe you one. A black business card landed on the glass counter, cutting him short. Huey frowned down at it, not quite comprehending it at first. Picked it up now to get a better look at it. There was a number there, one he didn't recognize. His eyes bulged again. I don't understand. What is? Noir's pad came up again. He hadn't even seen him move. But he saw the letters all the same. If you see the girl, call me. Reward. Huey's mouth went dry. What kind of reward, holy shit? His words peaked into a yelp as fat wad of cash landed on the counter. Followed by another. Holy hell. There had to be a couple thousand there at least. Way more than the raise he'd planned to ask for. He flicked a frantic glance to the cameras, knowing full well how this would look. Only, to find said cameras silent, inert, drooping towards the floor. The once steady red light that marked their activation was nowhere to be seen. How in the blue hell no, don't think about that. Money, counter, focus. He turned back to Noir and steeled himself as best he could. Look, I appreciate it, but can't take this. I don't deserve. The soup held up a single finger and pressed it to his mask. The other held out the notepad again. More if you keep an eye out. I shouldn't. Skirch went the pen again. $10,000. Take it. You deserve this. Did he? A gloved hand pushed the money Huey's way. He made to push it back, and found himself hesitating as his fingers closed around the cash. Robin was killing herself in school for his sake. All because he couldn't man up enough to ask Gary for a raise. Because he was a coward. Because he didn't have a spine. Shame curdled in his chest. Logic smacked it upside the head. This wasn't anything illegal. Noir was giving him this money freely, wasn't he? This could be a new start for him. And all he had to do was keep an eye for a little Asian girl. Someone who was, most likely, a criminal. What was the harm? Huey grabbed the money and crammed it deep into his pockets. Noir didn't speak, but he did make a pleased noise. He took his hand from the counter and clapped him on the shoulder. The other hit a button on his utility belt. With a low whine, the cameras sprang back to life. Huey cast a reluctant look their way. His boss would probably have questions later, but none of that mattered right now. Thanks, Mond, he's gone. When he looked back, Noir was nowhere to be seen. The door closed on empty air and wind, the sole sign that he'd ever been there at all. How does he do that? 0.0.0. Billy Butcher stared at his phone. His phone stared right back, with the 3 lines of text within. I found her. She's alive. Meet me at the usual place. Tomorrow, midnight. He gripped his phone until it creaked. Fucking diabolical. 0.0.0. Annie couldn't breathe. Her heart was hammering so hard in her chest it felt like it was about to burst. Every second she sat here made the anxiety worse. What if they didn't like her? What if they hated her? No, she could do this. She had to. She must. She was Starlight after all. Wasn't this her dream? To be chosen? To be a part of the 7? It was all she'd ever wanted for so long. All she had to do was open the car door. She could feel her mother's eyes on her. Waiting, expectant, breathe. She could do this. So what if it was a little scary? Just roll with the punches. Steeling herself, she wrenched the door open. Almost immediately, the roar of the crowd hit her like a physical force. Cameras went off. People howled her name. It was all so overwhelming that she staggered for a moment even as she smiled. So many faces, all of which were crying out for her. It inundated her, drowned her. Were it not for Mom holding one hand to her shoulder, she might have fainted dead away. There she is! Welcome to New York! A mousy redhead in a crisp suit awaited her on the red carpet, hand extended. I'm Ashley Barrett, Director of Talent Relations. So nice to finally meet you. Approximately numb, she shook her hand. Are all these people here for me? Ashley tittered a little. Oh, honey, who else would they be here for? And there behind the redhead, looming large and tall, a stern, silent shadow. Oh. God. Annie's throat went dry. Why was he here? Of all the people she'd expected to meet, she hadn't thought it would be this soon. Is that? Noir likes to meet the rookies, Ashley whispered aside. It's a thing he does. Roll with it. Annie managed a nod and tried not to balk as she gazed up at Black Noir. Good Lord, he really was a tall one, wasn't he? Second only to the legendary Homelander himself, this man had ever fascinated her since she was a little girl. A silent hero, never speaking a word, never removing his mask, forever sworn to his duty. Not one to ask for accolades or fame, not him. He just was. His record spoke for itself, a storied career of heroism and valor nearly unmatched the world over. You must be Black Noir. She offered him her hand. It's an honor to meet you. He was silent for a long moment, dark mask reflecting nothing. Annie wondered if he'd heard her at all. Without warning, he took her hand, swept one leg back, bent at the waist, and sketched a little bow for her. Still holding her right hand, he brought it up to where his mouth beneath the mask. She felt warm lips touch her knuckles through the cloth. A feather's brush, nothing. Heat seared through her face, even his little voice squealed in the back of her head. Mom gasped. The crowd went wild. It drew a startled laugh from her. Aren't you a charmer? He stood and waffled a gloved hand to and fro. He doesn't talk, Osley whispered aside. You'll get used to it. Noir gave a nod, followed by a simple slashing motion across his throat. Then he was gone, sauntering away. She wouldn't see him again until that evening. A .0.0. A man removed his mask. Not much longer now. A voice rasped. Nearly there. Weary blue eyes gazed into the mirror, framed by dirty blonde hair and whiskered cheeks. His hands dipped down, cupped some water, and splashed it onto his face. His right ear twitched. He sensed negative emotions. A spike of fear. With a long-suffering sigh, he yanked his mask back on. 0.0.0. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be happening. It was happening and she couldn't do anything to stop it. The moment she did, the second she tried, all her dreams would be in tatters. Everything had been going so smoothly. Until that sick bastard cornered her up here. Damn it, damn her, damn him. Just roll with the punches for like 3 minutes maybe, it's not a big deal. The Deep loomed over her, placing a hand on her shoulder. It's just a little pole smoking, and then you know what happens? All your dreams come true. Her eyes flicked away to the chairs, one of which would be hers, if she could just get through this. If she said no, it would be just as he'd said. Who would believe her, a small-town girl? It would be her word against his, her against one of the 7. He'd claimed she'd attacked him, the lying prick. She wanted to fry him even now, consequences be damned. Screw that smug little shit. Her eyes flashed gold. If he thought for one fucking second that she'd just roll over and suck his, the doors smashed open. Deep yelped, and tried to yank his pants back up as sundered steel parted, only for a knife to hurtle through the gap. It caught his trousers by the leg, and pinned them to the floor. Still flailing, he flopped backward like a fish out of water and landed hard on his ass. Annie took some small smug pleasure in that. Prick. Someone stalked through the still-opening doors, someone wearing all black. The moment she saw his mask, her heart soared. Thank God for heroes. In hindsight, Starlight wasn't sure what made her move, what had her ducking behind Black Noir for safety, only that she did. He shifted his stance, placing himself firmly between her and her. No, she wouldn't even think of that word, of what she'd nearly done. She'd been a hair's breadth away from killing him in cold blood. Not that he didn't dare save it, but to think that she'd almost. Noir? Caught with his pants down, Deep frantically fumbled to get them back on. This isn't what it looks like. As ever, Noir didn't say a word. His matte black mask reflected nothing, the soulless shades staring out at them both, and then his gaze shifted to her. He must have seen something then, because the silent warrior shook his head. His gaze shifted to her, back to the Deep, now. She heard a soft exhale of breath, an almost weary sigh, as if to say, seriously, how stupid can you be, and bemoan the sight before him. Then he moved. Starlight never saw the punch, but she certainly saw what followed. Deep crashed backward, hit the table and flipped over it. He came up clutching a bloody nose. What the hell, man? Noir stabbed a hand into his belt, fished a pad forth, wrote vigorously and all but shoved it his way. You're out. All the color drained from Deep's face. What? Noir stabbed his pen down on the last word. Hey, you don't have any proof. Black Noir stowed the pen and paper, only to pluck something else from his belt. A small rectangular device of some sort, jet black, just like the rest of him. He brandished it with a flourish and made a wheezing noise that might have been laughter. Starlight couldn't tell. It might have been an act for all she knew. Then he squeezed the remote with gusto. All around them the cracked screens flickered as the scene replayed itself in horrific fashion. The moment Deep dropped his pants, her mute horror mouth agape as she stumbled away, as he followed. Every word that followed. With each passing moment the color drained even further from his face. She wasn't surprised when the rage came. The denial. "You can't do this to me," he snarled, fists balling at his sides. "Do you know how hard I worked to get here, how much I sacrificed?" Noir scratched out another message. "Don't care, you, out." Now approximately Deep puffed out his chest. "Maybe I'll just tell Homelander. See what he thinks about all this." One could have heard a pin drop in the silence that followed. To Annie, it was the pin of a grenade. Black Noir put his pad away, stowed it with near-exaggerated slowness. Stepped past her, silent as the grave. Credit where it was due, the Deep didn't flee. He really should have. 3 quick strides carried Noir forward, a 4th brought him the rest of the way. He loomed over the shorter man, silent as the grave. The faint creak of leather hit her ears as he leaned toward him. The Deep opened his mouth to say something, some smug, snarkish comment perhaps. Noir didn't give him the chance to speak. His body dissolved a black blur. In a near-simultaneous movement he slapped Deep across the face, drove a knee into the man's groin, grabbed him by the scruff of his vest, hoisted him up and left dangling him in the air as one might a child's toy. He leaned in then, close enough to bring his mask level with Deep's right ear, as though to whisper to him. His victim stiffened. For a wild moment, Annie wondered if she'd actually heard him speak. Crack! Noir rammed his mask into Deep's face. His victim howled and clutched at his bloodied visage, then him, trying to ward off what was to come. No, wait, I'm sorry." His voice peaked into a wail as a fist cocked back. "I'm sorry." The masked madman slammed him to the floor and descended upon him. So too did his fists. Once, twice, thrice now, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Blood splashed out as the Deep blubbered for mercy. He was given none. Black Noir kept wailing on him until his cries fell silent, and then for a little while after. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, he ceased. One last blow left her would-be tormentor in a comatose heap, sprawled out in a bloody daze. Noir climbed off his unconscious form. Annie flinched away, back against the wall. He held out a hand, scribbled a note. "I won't hurt you, promise." Starlight flicked an anxious look Deep's way. Was it wrong that things had come to this? Maybe. Did she take perverse pleasure in watching the Deep be humbled? Hell yes, thank you. Noir's response was to pluck that strange device from his belt once more, aim it at the screens and squeeze. The lights dimmed. The screens went dark entirely. Annie found herself frowning. He paused and seemed to grapple with something for a moment. His device clicked again. A low whine of static filled the room soon thereafter, a dull buzz humming at the edge of her ears. And then, there! Annie jolted a little when he spoke, if only because he shouldn't be able to. "Now no one can hear us. You're welcome." His voice was surprisingly low, the rumble of an approaching storm sweeping all before him. It sent a pleasant shiver shooting down her spine. He didn't try to approach her, and still she found herself quivering all the same. "You can talk? When I have something to say." Another hoarse rumble that might have been laughter. "You'd be amazed how little folks think of you when you can't speak." "But why now? Why for me?" A laugh. "Because you're worth breaking cover for." "Cover?" She dithered, unsure of what to say to that. "No, never mind that. Are they all like this? Some more than others." He flicked a hand toward the ceiling. "Maeve isn't quite as bad, but she probably would have let this happen all the same. Any one of them would. You can't trust them. Any of them." She quirked a brow at him. "This from a man in a mask." Noir chortled a little. "Fair." Gloved fingers dug down into the cloth portion of his mask and lifted, exposing the lower half of his visage to her. The rest remained hidden behind his helmet. Despite her best efforts, Annie flinched. She spied whiskered cheeks set in a scarred face, burnt by some awful accident. What might have been a hint of blonde hair. The rest of his mask hid his face, but even so, his lips quirked in a rueful grin. "Thanks, by the way," he said. "I've been trying to catch that bastard in the act for years. He'll be out on his ass for this. Tabloids are going to have a field day." Dread reared its ugly head. His time had been perfect. Too perfect. Did you use me?" "Nope." He smacked his lips with an audible pop. "Just happened to be in the right place at the right time, for once." The way he'd phrased it worried Annie more than she cared to admit, if only because it suggested he'd failed before. Who are you, really? Just a friend. He hummed out a chuckle, inwardly amused by some joke she didn't understand. And as a friend, here's a friendly piece of advice. His hand patted her shoulder. Don't let your guard down here. Not ever. There are no heroes here, Annie. His scarred face creased in a small, sad smile. No gods either, only monsters. Earlier he'd said he was breaking cover. This was Black Noir, wasn't it? She wasn't sure what made her doubt, only that she did. That implied even more unpleasantness. How long had he kept this act up? Days? Months? Years? What do you want from me? He laughed. Who said I wanted anything? She crossed both arms before her bosom and scowled. Everyone wants something. All right, you got me. A friend would be nice. Rather than answer further, Noir tugged his mask back on. Only once the cloth was securely in place did he offer her his hand. Maybe ham it up a bit when the reporters ask what happened here. You keep my secret, I'll keep yours. She blinked quickly. My secret? You're a fighter, Annie. A finger poked her shoulder. A killer, just like me. I've seen so many people just bow over and take it, but you? She could all but hear the smile in his words, a touch of pride tugging at those whiskered cheeks. I felt your intent. You were actually ready to slaughter deep for a moment there. He snapped his fingers. I've been looking for a soup like that, someone willing to fight back. Realization dawned anew, but she had to ask, she had to know. Against what? Against this! He flung up his arms and pivoted away from her, glaring bloody red daggers at the painted ceiling above. Against all of it. Someone who will help me take down these so-called heroes from the inside, show the world who they really are. Quick as a flash, he whirled to face her again. You think Deep was bad? Honey, what you witnessed her today was tame compared to what I've seen. They're all monsters. Even Homelander? He hissed out a breath. Especially Homelander. Heat hit her face again for an altogether different reason. If they were truly as corrupt as he said, well, she'd seen a hint of it just now, hadn't she? Almost didn't want to believe it. Surely Homelander and the others weren't as bad, they couldn't be. The very notion that the Seven, the heroes she'd all but grown up with, looked up to, aspired to be, could be. This? She recoiled from the very thought. They were heroes. They were meant to be paragons of truth and justice, not monsters masquerading as men. At least Noir seemed a decent sort. Better than the rest, certainly. Annie made up her mind. She'd put her trust in him, for, now. Her hand clasped his, squeezing tight. Deal. Noir smiled behind his mask. Welcome to the Seven. A.N. Bye-bye, Deep. We've not seen the last of Huey, don't you worry. Each chapter will cover an episode, more or less. Which means, I've got work to do. To be clear, in this era the original Black Noir died quite some time ago. Naruto, not nerfed in any way, shape, or form, let's get that out of the way right now, offed the silent soup and assumed his identity with none the wiser. Not Vought, not Edgar, not Stillwell, and not Homelander. Why, you ask? He tried the brute force approach at first, all but said as much. Folks didn't listen. So he did what anyone would do. You hit a wall? You find a way around. Now he's resolved to covertly change the system from the inside, or burn it down, all that power, all that skill, dedicated to a single purpose. Which is precisely why he spoke to Starlight. He didn't expect to find a pure soul like her. You bet to high hell he'll be going after the rest of the Seven. As ever, we're following the Embers rule here. That's no joke, really it isn't. If folks don't like this, well, it won't be continued. Every bit of feedback helps. Reviews are the fuel which keeps me writing in these crazy times. With my tight schedule, 2 jobs, I simply don't have time to write a story folks don't like. Without them, my inspiration cannot take wing, and I can't write a word. So by all means, speak up. So in the immortal words of Atlas, review, would you kindly? And enjoy some previews. Previews. It must be a terrible thing to live your life behind a mask. We all wear masks. She still couldn't see his face. He sounded almost amused. All of us. I can be in 100 different places at once. Disguise myself as anyone, anything. You're right. I could have ended this a year ago. That would be too easy. Their punishment must be more severe. Maeve glared at him. What is it now, Noir? He held up a photo. All the blood drained from her face. Where did you get that? Up came the notepad again. 3 little words awaited her. Walk with me. Popclaw, leave. Huey stumbled, pulling Robin with him. Black Noir's head snapped to the side. In the same instant he held out his right arm. Crunch. Someone, struck his arm and flipped clean over it, smashing into the ground. If he'd been just a hair closer, he would have run Robin over. A-Train stumbled up. Who the hell? Oh shit. I'm sorry, man, I'm so sorry. I didn't mean— Clenched knuckles hammered into the side of his head. Have a nice day. Starlight flung up her arms. You're not going to tell me what you're after, are you? Safer for you that way. You've all been slacking. Not you though, Noir. You've been great. You get me. Homelander slung an arm around his shoulder as he faced those at the table. Maybe you should all be a little more like him. Naruto smiled behind his mask. All according to plan. You're a right cunt, you know that? Noir didn't say a word. He just stood there, staring, cheeky prick. Butcher flung up his arms. Look, mate, I'm not in the mood. If you're just going to faff about, then I'm out of here. An envelope hit his chest. Butcher opened it, saw the pictures. Where did you get this? Your wife's alive. Fucking hell, he could talk. I know where she is. Bloody hell. All right, I'll bite. What do you want? Homelander's head on a pike. Well, 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 now you're speaking my language. Welcome to the Seven. 4 little words, a simple set of syllables, nothing more, nothing less. They should have comforted Annie. Brought her some semblance of peace to her fraught state of mind after what she'd suffered. They'd given her a sleepless night and a crippling headache besides. Now come dawn, she found herself standing before those doors once more, knowing full well who awaited her on the other side. Had they seen the footage? What had happened to the Deep? It had barely been 24 hours since her harrowing ordeal, since the footage was released, since she'd been taken aside and rigorously questioned for her part in it. She'd seen neither hide nor hair of the Seven since. Not a single member, not even Noir, and now she was expected to face them? Alone, she couldn't do this. A hand lapped her on the shoulder. She yelped and immediately flung an anxious look that way, fearing the worst. Imagine her surprise then, when she found Black Noir stood behind her, silent as the grave. When had he arrived? He hadn't been there a second ago. She'd not even heard his footsteps. When she turned to look at him fully, she glimpsed a tiny note held between 2 fingers. A single word lay scrawled within. Breathe. Starlight nearly laughed outright. Breathe. Easy for him to say. He was the one planning to overthrow the Seven. That took nerves of steel. Oh God, and she'd thrown her lot in with him. Had she made a terrible mistake? Deep aside, surely the other members of the Seven couldn't be as bad as he said they were. Could they? Noir pivoted a little, turning to face her fully. Although his mask reflected nothing, Annie thought she saw something there, a spark of empathy behind his gaze. An actual spark. His other hand came down on her opposite shoulder, squeezed for all of a nanosecond in what she could only assume was a reassuring pat. Then he held up the note again and mimed a slow inhale followed by a long exhale. Oddly enough, it gave her confidence. He should have been in there with the rest of the Seven. Instead, here he was, offering her his silent support. Even if she knew it wasn't silent at all. No, she was reading into things again. Focus. All right. Having him here bolstered her courage, if only a little. All right. She repeated word as much for her sake as she did his. I'm okay. Black Noir flicked her a thumbs up, moved to stand beside her, and offered her his arm. Annie found herself quirking a brow despite it all. You can't be serious. Noir only tilted his head. For some reason, she found herself reminded of a fox. Strange. Still, she wasn't about to enter on his arm. Noir must have realized it too, because he lowered his arm and fished out his notepad once more. A quick skirch of his pen, and he had a message for her to see. United front, less likely to bully you if they see you enter with me. Something in her bridled at that. I understand, but at least take me to dinner before you try holding my hand. Noir didn't make a sound. He didn't have to, because he'd just perked up like an eager puppy. Up came the notepad again. Sure, approximately when he stepped forward, she followed in lockstep with him. The doors parted for them. And she saw. There you are, Starlight. Homelander himself turned away from the window, smiling like the sun. Wouldn't want to be late to your first official meeting. I had a whole welcome speech planned. Oh? He trailed off, that same smile taking on a quizzical fashion now as he beheld Black Noir at her side. Well. Made a friend, have you? If anything, that grin only broadened. Didn't think Noir was your type. Those keen blue eyes swept to her erstwhile ally. Good for you, buddy. Heat hit her face. She hoped it didn't show. Her gaze raked across the room. Homelander, Queen Maeve, Translucent, A-Train as well. They were all there, all of them, save Deep. His empty chair spoke for itself. One of the Seven, gone, just like that. She hadn't expected anything less, but still, there had been a part of her that feared he would be here, staring at her with that insufferable smirk of his. But he wasn't now, was he? He kept his word. Didn't know he had a type. A train snorted. Maeve rolled her eyes. Ashley's gonna lose her shit. Homelander made a noise of bemusement. That's our Noir, always surprising us. Oh God, this was not happening. Not even a minute in and they were already cross-examining her. Remember what he said. Breathe, don't let them get to you. Starlight forced herself to stand her ground, even as Noir stepped away, leaving her to fend for herself. His arm nudged hers in passing, spurring her on, but Homelander was looking to her now and she must attend. She forced herself to smile for his sake. Sorry, sir, he was just getting me up to speed. Please, just Homelander is fine. The leader of the Seven waved her worries aside. By all means, take a seat. Can we get back to the matter at hand, please? Translucent whined, diverting their attention. A bunch of assholes pirated my movie 3 weeks before release. We're losing profits here and I for one won't stand for... A train physically slumped in his seat. Come on, man, not this shit again, nobody cares. Quiet you, you're not the one who needs to worry about money. Starlight tried not to zone out as the meeting dissolved into pointless squabbling between him and a train. Really, she did. She just couldn't help herself. Her gaze shifted to Noir, sat beside Maeve. The former gave her a tiny sympathetic shrug. The latter, well, Maeve just kept drinking. Wasn't even 10 in the morning and she kept knocking him back. Hey, come on guys, stop. Homelander held up a hand, cutting through the fog of war. What's Starlight gonna think listening to us haggling over pennies? He swept that hand toward her and she had to fight down a flinch despite herself. We're the Seven, for God's sake. Whether we're out there, a thumb hooked over his shoulder toward the window, or in here. Silence fell over the chamber. Now, he spoke into it. I'm sure you've all heard about the Deep's little mishap last night. Needless to say, he's out. Maeve knocked her glass back. Stupid bastard, should have known better. A train shrugged. Better off without him, I say. Such a shame. Starlight twitched at the second to last one. Shame, Translucent said. That sick bastard tried to. Fortunately for you. Homelander clapped his hands, eliciting a flinch from the lot of them. Noir was there. He doesn't take kindly to that sort of thing. Never has. Noir's gaze pinned Translucent across the table. The unseen hero glared back. What, you got something to say, mute boy? Quiet, you. Homelander silenced Translucent with a quelling look. As she looked on aghast, Vaught's greatest hero stood and circled around the table with crisp, measured steps. Her heart stilled. Surely he wasn't coming over here. He was. Her very soul stilled as he stopped before her chair. She couldn't even bring herself to breathe as he laid a hand on her right shoulder. If he'd seemed tall before, he was outright imposing now, all but looming over on her. Starlight, on behalf of the Seven, would like to personally apologize for what you went through. He almost sounded sincere. Noir claimed he was a monster. What if he wasn't? If there's anything you need, and I mean anything at all, my door is always open. She inclined in a fractious nod. Yes, of course. Noir grunted. Of course, the same can be said of Noir, Homelander added after a moment's pause. He's a great listener. Starlight gulped. Homelander had no idea. Is he now? You see, that's what Noir does. He pivoted to smile at the man in question. He listens, and then he takes action. I suppose you could say he's our enforcer. He takes this superhero stuff very seriously. His grin was almost boyish now, like an older brother speaking of their younger sibling. Scorched earth, shock and awe, blood and bone, that sort of thing. His hand tightened on her shoulder and something dark flashed across his face. So quickly she could have sworn she imagined it. He's a real pal, couldn't ask for a better friend. His words sounded kind, encouraging even. So why was Noir stiff as a board? Did they know? Did they suspect? But enough of that. Homelander's hand came away as he sauntered back to his seat. What I do want to hear is who you saved this week. He held up his hands as he reclaimed his seat. Who's up for that? She didn't miss the way Maeve and a train looked away when he laughed. Let's start with you, Noir. After all, a finger wagged his way, you've been a busy bee this week, you little rascal. So? How many was it this time? 200? 3? Starlight's gaze sought there across the table. Noir didn't flinch. Calmly, almost lazily, he plucked forth his pad and wrote something down. Starlight's jaw popped open when she saw it. She closed it just as quickly. Those were a lot of zeros. Not bad. As ever, Homelander was all smiles. Little less than mine this time around, though. Quick as a beat, those bright blue eyes sought out the rest of the team. And how about you three, Maeve? A train? Translucent? Care to share? The silence was damning. Well? Homelander all but hummed. Come on, don't be shy, let's hear it. Maeve found her nerve first, knocked back another shot, and rolled her eyes. 69. Happy? Translucent chuckled. Homelander skewered him with a stare. Found that funny, did you? Go on, share with the class. No one could see the man's face, but even a blind man could tell he was seething. 6. Homelander clicked his tongue. Tisk tisk, getting sloppy there. And you, A-Train, how many this week? If Translucent had been humbled, A-Train was all but humiliated. None. Homelander tilted his head. None? Maeve leaned back with a smug smile. My. Well, I've got that big race coming up and I've been training, focusing on that. No. Homelander wagged a finger at him. No excuses. You can do better than that and you know it. Hey, now don't go picking a bone with me just because I didn't. Homelander quirked a blonde brow his way. Didn't? A-Train clammed up. Starlight found herself rather reminded of a small dog she'd once seen as a child. All bark and no bite. Right. He sank back into his seat with a sigh. I'll do better. Come on, guys. Homelander almost sounded disappointed. We need put on our A-game for the new girl. Show her the ropes. You've all been slacking. Not you, though, Noir. You've been great. Homelander reached around and slung an arm around his shoulder as he faced those at the table. Maybe you should all try to be a little more like him. Ain't that right, buddy? Noir flicked him a thumbs. This time his smile seemed purer somehow. See? He gets me. Annie wanted to bury her head in her hands. Just what had she signed up for? Surely her upcoming patrol would be better than this fiasco. It had to be better, right? Screw this. She needed to lie down. 0.0.0. Maeve cornered him easily enough. It wasn't hard. Noir's little pet was eager to be on her way. The minute the meeting was over, she made her excuses and all but fled to her room. Poor thing. Maeve almost pitied her. She'd been that way once. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, full of boundless confidence and enthusiasm. She'd wanted to save the world. Before reality and Vought broke her. Starlight would learn sooner or later, just as she had so long ago. The house always won. Noir was broken too, she supposed, in his own way. Every day he went out there. Every day he saved lives, tirelessly, often to the exclusion of everything else. All without speaking a word. Homelander treated him like a bloody brother, all but named him his second in command. And for what? The mask never came off. Not in public, not here in Vought Tower, probably anywhere at all. Even after all these years, she still didn't know what he looked like under that damn thing. No one did. Stillwell and Edgar might, but if they did, they weren't talking. It infuriated her. Made her sick. Or maybe that was the whiskey. Perhaps she'd had too much to drink this morning. Didn't matter. She was pissed he was there, and she was going to have words. Happy with your new toy? She called out to him as he signaled an elevator. She won't last long here, not with an attitude like that. Noir flicked a lazy glance her way but didn't respond. He never did. No matter how hard she tried to rile him up. Infuriating. She knew he wasn't mute, not in the true sense of the word. She'd heard him make noise before on their patrols. He just didn't speak. Made her want to claw that mask off. See who he really was underneath. She'd never worked up the gall to try. To do so would answer her question once and for all. Maybe today would be that day. Perhaps, had Queen Maeve been sober, she would have reconsidered the enormity of the challenge before her. But she wasn't sober now, was she? She hadn't been for quite some time. Instead she stole a glance over her shoulder. The halls were all but empty, save a few clerks. Homelander wasn't nearby. The others wouldn't give two shits. Noir was strong, but he wasn't that strong, surely. He was a quick bastard. Bigger than her, too. But she remained confident in her strength. Maeve took a step toward him. Steadied herself now as the world swam around. Yep, she definitely had one too many. Didn't matter. Hey! When the elevator doors parted with a soft ding, Maeve moved to block him. You ignoring me? Noir rolled his shoulders with a shrug. He was holding up something, that pesky pad of his. She had to squint just to see the word within, etched in big black bold letters. Yes, his piece said, written, really. The silent champion shouldered her aside as though she were no more than a child and stepped inside. Maeve stumbled. Hell, she half expected the sarcastic son of a bitch to flash a wave her way, but no, he just stared at her, arms crossed before his chest. Waiting, challenging her. As though he knew exactly what was going through her head. She imagined his mouth behind the mask, twisting in a smirk. Damn it. Damn him. Maeve's pride howled at her, demanding retribution. She slammed an arm into the gap. The doors parted with a pleasant him. She ignored it and bulled in after him. Someone made the mistake of entering after her. She snarled and swung back blindly, shoving away a woman who tried to enter after them. Her gaze sought his as the doors slid shut again, sealing them in together. Noir didn't react in the least. He just kept staring, straight ahead. As if she weren't even there. She counted to 3, then slammed the emergency stop button with her palm. The carriage slammed to a halt. Here at last he looked at her. Even that action smacked of scorn, as though she were a little girl being reprimanded by her parents for a tantrum. She felt weak beneath his gaze. He wasn't even looking down on her. To do such would have implied he felt something. This was different. He stared right through her. As if he didn't even see her. Not even Homelander looked at her like this. It was too much. "Why did you help Starlight that night?" She planted a fist on her hip and scowled up at him. "You never gave a shit about anyone here before. Not me, not Homelander, not anyone. Why now? What's so special about her anyway?" He didn't respond, and so she drew her own conclusions. "Do you want her? Is that it?" Maeve scoffed at him. "Little Miss Country Girl, all lost in the city, must have been easy pickings for you. She probably fell right into your arms after you saved her the other night. Was she a good lay?" That empty mask stared into Maeve's very soul. She could feel his scorn. It felt cold, like she'd plunged into ice water. It was almost enough to sober her up. Almost. "Answer me." Her fist thumped the wall beside his head, denting it. "Write something, damn it!" Noir reached for the elevator console instead. "No." She batted his hand away. "We're not going anywhere until I get some answers." He reached again. She deflected him with a quick swat to the wrist. "I said no." Noir sighed and fetched his pad. "Annie isn't the one I pity." Then he flipped to a clean page, wrote again. "I pity you, Maeve." Something ugly reared its head in her weary, broken heart. Pity. Her? She'd been in the Seven long before him. He was only here thanks to Edgar. She clawed her way to where she stood now, sacrificed so much, lost so much, given away pieces of her very self, and he had the nerve to say he pitied her? "Excuse me?" A disbelieving laugh bubbled out of her lips. "That's rich. Why on earth would you pity me?" His pen scribbled a quick line for her to see. "You've given up on life." Maeve felt her face twitch. She couldn't even deny it. His pen returned with a vengeance. "And for that you have my sympathy, but leave Starlight out of this. She's not you." The twitch became a spasm. "Maybe not yet." She forced herself to breathe, grinding the words out through grit teeth. "But she will be, sooner or later. Vought will chew her up and spit her out, just like it did me." A low, wordless noise rumbled through the elevator. His shoulders shook. It took her a moment of watching him realize he was laughing. His response only confirmed her fears. "You really think this is about you, don't you? Never has been. Get over yourself." Maeve saw red, stepped in, and slugged Noir across the face. It was a good punch, she felt. Simple and clean, it crashed into his nose, smashed his smug mug to one side. It felt good, so she hit him again, and again. When she went for a fourth blow, her arm shrieked in pain. She pulled back, alarmed to find her knuckles red and sore, like she'd punched something incredibly hard. Noir's head swung around. He wagged a finger at her. Maeve swung again. Her fist slammed into an open palm. 5 firm fingers clenched around her fist and held tight. Then he twisted. She felt something pop in her arm, cried out as he wrenched it behind her back, only to find said cry muffled against the elevator wall. Instinct launched her into a frenzy of motion. It availed her not. He held her tight, all but pinning her with his body. Then he was moving, spinning around to fling her away. All her training meant jack shit in a confined space. She stumbled forward, hit the wall, bounced off, and landed right on her ass. Black Noir beckoned to her, making a come-hither motion with his right hand. It pushed her right over the edge. Maeve lunged upright. He pressed something on his belt. Out went the lights. She had time enough to holler at him. "Coward!" And then there was pain. Something slammed into Maeve's chin. Her head snapped back, stars detonating behind her eyes. She was still reeling when a hand closed around her face and slammed her down. She flailed blindly, warding him away to shield her visage, only for a boot to ram against her ribs, leaving her folding in on herself with a gasp. Somehow she made it to her feet again, and instantly regretted as his fists pummeled her from every side. By some miracle she managed to catch one in the dark, then the other. He crushed her against the wall for it, forcing Maeve to arch her back lest he snap her spine. He held her like that for a long moment, and as he did, her anger gave way to something else. She'd never been beaten this badly before. She hated him for it, and yet— She smashed her lips against his, uncaring of the cloth. Noir made a startled noise and let her go. Without warning, lights snapped back on, and doors opened with them. Maeve slumped against the wall, wasted and gasping for air. He left her there, sprawled out on her ass. She touched hand to her lips. Bastard! 0.0.0. Butcher knew pain. They were proper mates, the two of them. Old friends, pals for as long as he could remember. Anger and hatred twisting inside him, a burning need for justice. No, not justice. Vengeance. Had to be honest. He'd gone well past justice here. This was personal. He'd been this way for a long time now. Always had this rage inside him, losing her, losing Becca, made it worse. She wasn't dead, couldn't be. His missus was out there somewhere, waiting to be rescued. Butcher knew it. Felt it in his bones he did. He'd do anything to get her back. Which led him to this seedy little superhero bar in the ass end of nowhere, waiting for a fucking Black Noir of all people. The hell's taken him so long? A long-suffering sigh escaped him as he checked his watch for what felt like the umpteenth time this evening. He'd been nursing a drink for the last 5 minutes now in this private booth, and seen neither hide nor hair of the silent soup. And so he waited. Again with the waiting. Always with the waiting. He was starting to think it was a kink of Noir's or something. Didn't matter. He'd been on pins and needles ever since he got that text. I found her, she's alive. Meet me at the usual place. Tomorrow, midnight. Mallory said he was all right. And maybe Noir was after what he'd done for her grandchildren. They'd be a proper pile of ashes if it weren't for him. Wasn't every day you had a soup like that on your side, let alone a mole in the 7. Proper useful. Butcher would never admit it, of course. Soups were soups. Always had been, always would be. If one went rogue, that was no concern of his. How did the saying go? The enemy of his enemy was his friend. Or a convenient meat shield. Meh, one of the two. But if this git was messing about with him. His phone chimed. Butcher flicked it open. 2 words awaited him in a singular line of text. Behind you. Against his better judgment, Butcher pivoted in his chair, craning his neck back. A soulless black mask gazed into his eyes, mere inches from his face. It wasn't there a second ago. Hell, he hadn't even heard the booth door open. It was like he'd just appeared. In the room. Materialized from thin air like a ghost or some sit. Bloody smoke and mirrors, faint wisp of smoke threaded away from Noir's body, bleeding away into nothingness as he looked on. Had he imagined it? Anyone else would have flinched in such close proximity to one of the 7. Billy merely quirked a brow. Had you fun? Noir made a faint noise behind his mask, might have been laughter, and slid into the seat opposite him. Butcher offered him the bottle. Thirsty? The laughter died. Right, sorry, he sneered. Forgot about the mask. None of that pomp and circumstance shite from this one. Noir was a killer through and through. Right sneaky bastard too. Never said a word. Never took off his mask. How he'd managed to tiptoe around Vought this long, Butcher never knew, but the pics hadn't cottoned onto him yet. Maybe they never would. He almost pitied the bloke that tried. Noir wouldn't go quietly. He'd once seen him kill a dozen men with his pinky finger. No guns, no pencils, just one finger. His little freakin' finger. There were times when he wondered if this bloke could kill Homelander. Butcher was a hard man, but he wasn't stupid. No point in pissing off their golden goose, yet. Right, to business then. He steeped his fingers and laid his chin atop them. Saw the news about the Deep this morning? Noir nodded and flicked him a thumbs up. Bloody good work. He granted him a grim grin. Never liked the little shit. With damning footage like that, Deep would never see work in New York again. Maybe not the entire country. Too bad. So bad. In a single stroke, Noir had disposed of a long-hated rival and simultaneously elevated himself in the eyes of the public, while endearing himself to the new girl. Not much information on that one yet. Simple country girl. Seemed nice. Probably wasn't. They never were. Shite. Nerves were getting to him. Again, he was stalling. Man up, Butcher. Right, I'm here. Straightening up, he leaned back against the padded wall. You're here. Out with it. You see my missus? Silence pervaded the room. Butcher growled into it. You're a right cunt, you know that? Noir didn't say a word. He just sat there, staring at him. Cheeky prick. Fuck's sake. Billy flung up his arms. Look, mate, I'm not in the mood. If you're just gonna faff about, then I'm out of here. Noir pulled something out from behind his chestplate armor. A manila envelope slid across the table. Butcher caught it with one hand. Trembling fingers fumbled with the clasp before he gave up with a growl and tore the damn thing clear open. Papers hit the counter. His eyes raked over them, drinking it all in. And then he saw the pictures. Funny how a few photographs can break a man. Just a few tiny pictures. Heh. A lump rose in Butcher's throat and he choked on it alongside a bitter laugh. There she was. His Becca. She hadn't aged a day. Didn't take much to guess who the little lad with her was. Spitting image of Homelander with a bit of Becker in him. No, don't worry about that. Whatever the runt was, he looked normal. Harmless. If he wasn't, well, that was a bridge he could cross, or burn later. He raised his gaze, fixing the silent soup with a stoic stare. Where did you get these? Noir regarded him for a long moment. Butcher thumped the table. Answer me! The masked soup made a noise akin to a sigh. He held up a hand, 5 fingers splayed in obvious intent. Wait. Then he plucked something from his belt. Set in on the table, turned a knob. The light in the room dimmed. A squeal of static filled the booth, low background noise buzzing in Butcher's ears. He growled and touched a hand to his head. "The fuck is this? Answer me, you mute c—" And then Black Noir spoke. "Lower your voice." It was enough to shock the rage right out his system. Fucking hell, the mute could talk after all. "Since when can you?" "Be quiet, Butcher. It took me ages to find these." A gloved finger stabbed down on Becca's image. "Vought's got your girl locked in one of their compounds, sealed up tighter than tuna in a can. Lucky for you, I happen to know which one she's in." He tapped a finger to his mask. "Homelander isn't aware of this, for now." That same finger tapped down on the boy's image. "I've been keeping him distracted. You're welcome, by the way." Fine. He had him by the balls, and they both knew it. "All right, I'll bite. What the bleeding hell do you want in exchange? Bet it's a doozy." "3 things. Noir took his hand from the picture and pulled another from his vest. "First, I need you to help me find this girl. Little Asian lass? Difficult but doable." "What's she to you?" "The key to a train's downfall and Vaught's dirty laundry." Noir's finger tapped down just above the picture with gusto. "I've put out some feelers, but nothing so far. I can't exactly go tearing through Chinatown without making a scene, even in disguise. Feel free to do whatever you need. Get your old gang back together if need be." That finger ground down now, denting the table beneath. "Whatever it takes. I'll be keeping an eye on Translucent in the meantime. Might be able to give you carte blanche on other corrupt soups too. That's the second thing. Probably gonna need your help disposing of a few bodies." Nothing simpler. Frenchie and M&M could be convinced. Hell, they'd come running if it meant a chance at saving Becca. And the last one? "Help me put Homelander's head on a pike. Literal or figurative, don't care. I need him. Indisposed for what a few day. Best have your girl out of there bite him. Can't give him or Vought leverage. One last thing." Noir leaned forward then, and for a moment he thought he saw bright eyes spark behind that mask. "Whatever happens, you take care of that boy, Butcher. Don't throw him away. He's as much a victim in this as you and Becca. He just doesn't know it." "I'll give him a chance." "Shh, bloody bastard, read him like a book. You do realize Vought won't let him go easily. Leave that to me." Noir made to stand. "I'll keep digging. Got a meeting with little Nina later this week." "Little Nina? Fucking hell, Frenchie won't like that." "Then don't tell him," came the retort as he walked away. "There's a lead I'm chasing down, and I need her for it." "Wait," the dark hero paused. "Homelander." Butcher considered him for a long moment, trying to gauge his reaction behind the mask. "Why do you want that bastard dead so badly?" He knew the pain in his voice all too well. "Who'd he take from you?" Noir inhaled slowly, deeply. "My faith." What was he on about? Didn't take you for the religious sort. Care to run that by me again? "You don't seem to understand." Noir's retort was nothing short of caustic. "I used to believe in heroes. I was one. And then I saw the heroes here and I realized. Absolute power corrupts, absolutely. I tried to do things the right way. The right way didn't work. No one wanted to believe that their golden son, their Homelander, was the devil incarnate. The world plugged its ears, ate Vaught's shit, and carried on just as it always had." "Right, so you want the prick dead because Vaught's PR department made a fool of you, not just dead." Noir slammed both fists down on the table and snarled like a man possessed. "I want him gone, destroyed in the eyes of the people, erased. He's everything a hero shouldn't be. No one should have the power he has, let alone the ego to go with it. So he's gotta go. They've all gotta go. Them, Vought, all of it." "Even the new girl?" Butcher sniped back. "I saw the news. You were right quick riding to her rescue like you did." Starlight was the chink in his armor. His weakness. He couldn't help but prod him. Noir absolutely hissed. The temperature plummeted with it. "Kill her too." No hesitation. None. "And what happens when they're all gone, eh?" Here it was, the moment of truth. "You've been working with us for a while now, and you're proper useful, but what'll you do when you and that lass of yours are the last soup standing? What happens to us?" "We won't be the only ones." Ominous. That implied he was working to turn others. Butcher didn't much like the sound of that. "Maybe we'll build Vought back from the ground up. Make them a legitimate company selling shoes or something." Noir rambled on spitefully. "Then again, I might just piss on the ashes and call it a day. Haven't decided yet. The aftermath can come later." Well, well, well. He couldn't quite keep the smile from his face. "Now you're speaking my language. What say we shake on it?" Noir considered him for a long moment. "Swear to me," he said at last. "I want your word." Cheeky prick knew him too well. "I swear on me brother's soul." Lenny would understand, if he were still here. Noir's arms slammed across the table and seized his palm. "Keep your word and I'll keep mine. She'll be safe in the meantime? I've got people watching her. Homelander won't find her on my watch. Butcher glanced down at Becca's photo again. He'd best not. A merry little jingle filled the air. Noir looked down at his phone. I've got to take this, I'll be in touch. A faint rush of air had Butcher looking up with an baffled look. Noir was gone. Only a wisp of fading smoke remained. Neat trick. 0.0.0. Huey pocketed his phone with trembling fingers. There, he'd done it. His shift was over in 5 minutes. Now he just had to wait. Tap, tap, tap. He nearly rocketed out his shoes. Shit! He rounded on Noir, clutching at his heart. Where did you even come from? The capeless crusader brandished his notepad like a shield. You don't want to know, safer that way. The girl? I haven't, seen her. He held up his hands quickly to fend to the flat look Noir gave him. But I heard these two guys talking about someone that sounded like her. When Noir continued to stare, he held out his phone for him. They said something about a girl in a cage. Here, I snapped a picture of them when they weren't looking. Noir leaned in, memorizing it. Hummed once, nodded. Good work. A fat stack of bills thunked down on the counter, causing his eyes to bulge. For your trouble. Again? Huey pocketed it quickly, praying no one had seen. Do you just carry that much cash on you, all the time? Noir waffled a hand, then clapped him on the shoulder with that very same palm. Nearly knocked the wind clear out of him. The embrace that followed actually did. Okay, ow. His voice peaked in a yelp as he felt his ribs begin to creak. Didn't take you for a hugger. His erstwhile, what was he, an ally, employer, hustler, pulled back and gazed at him for a long moment. He nodded anew. Then he made for the door. Just like that, barely even 60 seconds and already he was leaving. Almost didn't seem fair. He could do more, couldn't he? This was something. He was making a difference. Wait! Black Noir stilled. Could you, wait a few minutes? Noir stared at Huey. He stared so damn hard. Shit, don't panic. It's just. No one believes that I meant you. He faltered beneath that stoic stare. Not even Robin. It's just, well, she's coming by in a few minutes. Noir held up his pad. Girlfriend? Yeah. His heart swelled a little despite the impassive mask staring into his very soul. She's the best. We've been going steady for a while now. I really think she might be the one, and sorry. He caught himself rambling a moment later. Didn't mean to gush. Don't know what got into me. Noir crossed his arms, leaned against the counter and settled in. Huey felt his heart skip a beat. Seriously? You'll stay? Noir granted him a brisk nod. Great, thanks. A moment of uncomfortable silence passed between them. So, Huey began, you and Starlight, huh? How'd that happen? Noir grunted and smashed a fist into his palm. Once, twice, thrice for good measure. Right, wasn't hard to read his intent. I saw that bit on the news. Who knew the Deep was such a creep? Black Noir made a commiserating noise and nodded in agreement. An awful idea hit Huey then. He just couldn't help himself. Guess you gave him a pounding he didn't expect, huh? Noir's head snapped toward him with an audible creak of leather. I'm sorry. He raised his hands to ward off the blow he feared was coming. I'm sure he was your friend, and I didn't mean. The pad came up. Good joke. Really? His spirits soared. Because I've got some more. Well, if you want to hear them, by all means. 4 minutes ticked by in the blink of an eye as they bantered back and forth. Well, he did the talking. Noir mostly listened. It felt nice. To just have someone to shoot the breeze with. No customers to bother him. No angry Gary to dump menial tasks on him. It almost made him feel human again. Like he mattered. Soon enough the shop door clicked open with a soft chime. Robin stepped in, saw Noir, blinked, her jaw clicked open. Holy shit! I know, right? Huey stepped out from around the counter, chest all but swelling with pride. Told you he was real. Noir levered himself off the edge and flicked a finger between the two of them. Huey didn't need the pad to know the question. Yeah, that's her. Noir, this is Robin Ward. She beamed and offered him her hand. Nice to meet you. Noir clasped her palm, sketched a little bow, and let her hand go. Nothing more. A consummate gentleman through and through. With that, Huey felt a knot come loose inside him. He hadn't thought Noir would go after his girl, but seeing him be so polite eased his fears all the same. So you really signed Huey's shirt? Much to his amusement, she quirked a brow his way. He won't stop gushing about it. Of course not. Black Noir, for crying out loud. Noir flicked her a thumbs up too, bless his soul. So what brings you down here? Huey exchanged a glance with Noir. Great. Ball was in his court. He's, looking for someone in the city. Huey coughed into a fist. Missing persons case? Robin quirked a brow his way. And you're helping him? Noir clapped a hand on Huey's back, spurring on another coughing fit. That got her grinning. Oh, I get it. You're like his sidekick or something, is that it? Noir waffled a hand. Huey did a double take. Sidekick? Me? No, no, no. He waved his hands frantically. I don't have any powers or anything like that. Dunno. Robin didn't stop smiling, cheeky minx that she was. This could be your origin story. Stop teasing me. All right, let's go. Huey gulped. Go? Not like I've got anything better to do today. She rolled her shoulders. Always wanted to see a soup in action. Noir's way. That all right with you, big guy? Noir shook his head. Come on, we won't get in your way. Scout's honor. I'm sure it would mean a lot to Huey. The silent soup shook his head anew, slipped past her, and walked out the door. The message was clear. Robin grinned. We're totally following him, right? A woman after his own heart, this one. Definitely. It wasn't hard to track Noir. An outfit like that stood out in the city, and he didn't make a concrete effort to lose them on the sidewalk. In hindsight, Huey should have found that odd. Why would a superhero bother walking at all? Perhaps, had he given the matter more thought, he might have avoided what followed. As things stood, he didn't. More fool he. So, Robin said apropos of nothing as they trailed him, did you ask him? Who? Huey blinked out of his daze. Gary. She nudged him with her elbow. You know, your boss. Did you ask him for the raise? He'd forgotten all about that. Don't tell her about the money. She wouldn't understand. Yeah, look, it was a crazy day and he was super busy, but tomorrow for sure. His girlfriend looked away. McKay. He knew that tone. What was I supposed to do, kick his door down? Like Black Noir? The silent soup raised a finger ahead of them, all but flipping them off, and lengthened his stride. Right, super hearing. Forgot about that. A small smile touched Robin's lips. I said okay. Yeah, but you didn't mean it, he jabbed back. Hey, I see the look, Robin, I see it. A quick skip had him just a pace ahead of her. Come on, I'm just saying this is like when started dating. Oomph, sucker punch. I had to ask you out, remember? Huey wilted but managed to rally. Excuse me for waiting, you ever hear of chivalry? This isn't about chivalry. She jabbed a finger against his chest and paused, 1 foot off the curb. It's about you getting what you deserve, Huey. I'm killing myself at school because I think it's going to be worth it, for both of us. You know when we move in together? Hey, what? She didn't answer. Robin, what was that bit just now? Well, her face burned and she whirled away, mastered herself and looked back, a coy smile lighting up her face. We can't keep laying pipe at your dad's place forever, trying to be quiet, staring up at that dumb Billy Joel oomph. Her cut her off with a kiss, only she returned eagerly before finishing. Poster, I know, he's your favorite, but I'd appreciate a little loyalty. Cheeky girl. Hey, don't you ever besmirch movement in his peripherals. Black Noir was suddenly there between them, thrusting them apart with both arms. Robin hurtled across the street. Huey crashed backwards to the curb. Pain lanced up his spine as stars, whole galaxies, burst before his vision. He forced himself to grit his teeth and sit up, even as his back protested hideously. Robin? Where was Robin? Crunch. Something? Someone? Struck Noir's extended arm with an awful sound, and flipped clean over it, smashing into the ground. Distantly, he registered a blue and white costume. A train? Huey barely even saw him. If he said something, he couldn't hear him over the ringing in his ears. Noir appeared over him, hand extended, thank God, a familiar face. Or mask. Not the point! Huey clasped it and muttered a half-hearted thanks as the soup hauled him to his feet. He saw Robin them, sprawled out in the street, clutching her right side. What was left of it? Oh God. God above, why? Bile rose in his throat. He choked it down. Huey! Her voice reactivated him. Robin! He knelt quickly, pulling her into his arms. Shit, you're okay, you'll be okay. He said it for her as much as himself. We'll get you to a hospital. He didn't need to look to know what the doctors would say. She had minutes at best. Fuck, ow, my leg. Behind them he heard a train stumbled to his feet. Who the hell? Oh, shit, Noir. I'm sorry, man, I'm so sorry, I can't stop, I can't. Noir stepped in calmly, serene as an afternoon breeze. A hand came down on a train's shoulder, steadying him, rooting him in place. The punch that followed was anything but. Clenched knuckles hammered into the side of A-Train's head. The speedster dropped like a sack of potatoes. Then he turned to face Robin. Noir held up a hand, laid it on Robin's ruined torso. He raised the other to his mask, a single finger held up for silence. What the hell are you doing? Shh! It wasn't words. Not really. More like a slow-released breath. Whatever it was, it did the trick. A flash of gold sang from his palm, visible for a split second. Nothing more. Robin arched her back with a gasp. Huey averted his eyes, unable to see. When he looked back, she was hale and whole, just as it had always been. Noir kept a finger to his mask, making his intent clear. Huey drew Robin's trembling form into his arms and held tight as he babbled his thanks. Just like that, things changed. And yet some remained the same. They plot, she thickens. As ever, we're following the Embers rule here. That's no joke, really it isn't. If folks don't like this, well, it won't be continued. Every bit of feedback helps. Reviews are the fuel which keeps me writing in these crazy times. With my tight schedule, 2 jobs, I simply don't have time to write a story folks don't like. Without them, my inspiration cannot take wing, and I can't write a word. So by all means, speak up. So in the immortal words of Atlas, review, would you kindly? And enjoy some previews, spoilers ahoy previews. My blood's potent, it carries a little something called chakra. I could make an army if I wanted to. Then what's stopping you from doing it? Who's to say I haven't? What the hell was that? Noir closed the door behind him, cranked up the radio. It must be a terrible thing to live your life behind a mask. We all wear masks. She still couldn't see his face. He sounded almost amused. All of us. Starlight flung up her arms. You're not going to tell me what you're after, are you? Safer for you that way. He walked away with a spring in his step. He eased open the door. Popclaw stormed her way in. Got anything to drink? Noir waved a hand toward his wine cabinet. She all but stomped toward it. See, this is why I like you, Noir. You don't ask any questions. Not like him. Fuck him. Fuck him and his fucking race and his fucking compound V. Ah, my friend. It is good to see you again. Naruto smiled behind the mask. Frenchie would always be Frenchie. Kimiko stared at a man in a mask. The man stared back. He swept an arm toward her cell, held out a notepad. Open? She tilted her head, wiped a hand across her grimy face. He wasn't speaking. Was he like her? Butcher grinned down at the crater and the smoldering corpse within. Ha! Got the bastard! Nina tilted her head. And what can you offer me? A bag of cash thumped down on the table. Her eyes flicked down to it. Back to him. Pity. Her lips curled, and a coy smile. And here I had hoped for a glimpse under that mask of yours. Crimson Countess held out her hands. Please, Noir. I just need a little more, just a little. I want to stay like this. In my prime. Noir sighed. And held out the vial. It wasn't blue or green, but a deep crimson, just like her namesake. She didn't know where he got the stuff. Frankly, she didn't care. All that mattered was that he cared. Enough to keep coming back after all these years. Enough to visit an old has-been like her. A smile fluttered across her face. She surged forward, wrapping her arms around him and laid a kiss on his chest. Thank you. I've done my research on you. Yes, well, your research may have been a little inadequate. You can talk? Wait, no. He stumbled back, balking at the now bent gun in his hand. You shouldn't be able to tar? Hurts, doesn't it? What do you feel? Confusion? Disgust? Terror? I wonder if that's what they felt before they died. I mean, it can be quite jarring to discover someone's actually a monster. That face, you're not Black Noir, not the one I know. Nope. The man smiled at him and clapped him on the back. I am not. Come on, I've got some spare clothes in the trunk. Wait, a hand gripped his arm. Did you kill him? Yup. Which brings me to my next talking point. This is your one and only chance, soldier boy. Chance for what? For redemption, for vengeance. Let's make it count. Naruto glared at his mask. Noir's empty visor stared back at him from the nightstand, his scarred reflection glowering back at him within its hollow eye sockets. It didn't say a word. Didn't have to, really. They both knew what he was thinking, what he was about to do. After so long together, they were one and the same. He'd worn that ugly matte black facade for years now. It all but a part of him. What began as a simple disguise had slowly started to seep into him over time. Sometimes he couldn't tell where it ended, and he began. Don't look at me like that, Irving, he muttered, folding both hands beneath his chin. You know I have to do this. He didn't answer, of course. He never did. The day the dead man talked back was the day he'd went mad. This from the man with a fox in his head. Right, you're surely sane. The smallest of smiles touched the corner of his mouth. Thanks, Kurama. At least he had one constant after all these years. Levering himself off the bed, he went about readying himself for the day. A brisk shower followed, accompanied by a rasher of bacon and eggs for breakfast besides. He chased the later down with a glass of orange juice. Wine was often tempting, this early whiskey more so. But no, he needed his mind to be sharp today. He steered his gaze away from the wine cabinet. Inevitably, it strayed to the mask. Despite his best efforts, a pang of pity bloomed in his chest. Naruto didn't try to stifle it. Poor Irving. He didn't know who much about him, or who he had been, didn't care to, better that way. Ignorance was bliss. At least this way he'd put his persona to good use. Better than anything Vault would have done. Speaking of which, he still needed to follow up that lead with Nina. His mind buzzed at the prospect. Naruto quelled it. Not yet. He shook his head instead. He wanted to go a little longer without work today. He'd be busy enough tonight, so much to do. Unbidden, his eyes shifted back to the visor again. He was so insufferably sick of wearing the damn thing and the costume. Of playing the role that was Vault's mute enforcer. But they were necessary, both them and the transformation jutsu he kept up whenever he went out. Lining the costume with zinc warded off Homelander's X-ray vision, but never his curiosity. One couldn't be too careful with that one. Only here, in one of his many safe houses, did he dare shed the disguise. And even then, not for very long. It would be back on soon enough. Not for the first time, he considered giving up the ruse. Ending it all, storming back to Vault Tower, tearing it down around Edgar's ears. For a single blessed moment Naruto allowed himself to imagine it. It was so very tempting. He had the power to do it even now. He'd not fought Homelander before, but he was certain he could take him in a fair fight, and any other. Surprises. Vault might have up their sleeves. Who else was a threat? Maeve? Pah! She wasn't even sober half the time. A-Train had already been dealt with. Starlight was firmly on his side. Translucent wasn't even a proper threat to him. Ooh, invisible man with super hard skin, so scary. He could sense that lech a mile away. Better yet, he'd already thought up a countermeasure for the pervert. So why hadn't he killed them all yet? What was stopping him from finishing what he'd started all those years ago? We could go that route if you want. I'm with you, whatever you decide. Naruto grit his teeth. He wouldn't go scorched earth, not yet. Despite what Butcher might say, he could do more good on the inside than he would as an outside force. Had done more good. How many lives had he saved as Noir? How many corporate schemes had he put a stop to? How many times had he lent a helping hand to the boys? How many psychos had he kept out of the seven? How many innocents had he secretly healed and promised payback to? All more than he could count. It would all change, soon. For the better. He knew that. They were nearing a breakthrough, but he was still so damn angry. Cardio? Yes, please. Naruto whirled. I need to hit something. He dragged out a wooden training dummy from the dojo, set it up in the living room, and imagined Homelander's smug face in its place. He wailed on it for the better part of 5 minutes. By the time he was done, only a pile of sawdust remained, and his anger was sated. From there he grabbed the mask and yanked it, cloth and visor and all. Once more into the breach, Kurama rasped a laugh. Homelander had never met the real Noir, none of the current 7 had, and they never would if he had anything to say about it. Naruto took some small petty pleasure in that as he suited up. Only Starlight Annie had seen a glimpse of his face, and only then because he allowed it. He had high hopes for her, at the least, if she turned out like the rest. Well, it would be a shame, but he was no stranger to betrayal by now. She won't turn on us. A tiny little voice, the dregs of his conscience, piped up in the back of his brain. She's good, pure. So was Maeve. He'd been wise not to trust that one or show her his face. His conscience didn't protest again after that. He imagined Annie's betrayed face blinking up at him, covered in blood. Made him flinch, it did. His hands were already bloody. What was one more if it came to it? Don't think about that. We're nearly there now. Kurama was quick to assuage his guilt while he buckled on his armor. We've finally got all the pieces. It's just a matter of putting them together. Shouldn't take more than a year to bring Vought crashing down. Maybe less. From there we can make things better. Naruto groaned into his hands, the noise muffled by his mask. Another year? Could he last that long? He could, perhaps, but those he'd allied himself with, however. His sixth sense perked up without warning. Not 10 seconds later, someone knocked on his door, once, twice, thrice, 3 hard bangs. They weren't subtle about it either. Open up, Noir, I know you're in there. He knew that voice. Didn't take much to guess who. He rolled his eyes and sauntered over, keyed in the code, hummed now as the first 3 locks binding the door clicked. The pounding on the other side grew yet more frantic, more insistent, but he didn't rush. From there he input another code to disarm the last 6 locks, wrapped a hand around the handle, and slammed a fist down to etch a fist-shaped indent against the metal frame. Desired result achieved, the pounding ceased at once. "I'm sorry." The voice came back, soft and plaintive, cowed by his outburst. "I didn't mean to wake you. Could you just open the door, please?" Naruto took a deep breath, swaddled himself in Noir's persona once more, and poked his head outside. Another neat thing about Noir's mask. Not only did it hide his face away from the world, but it hid his expressions too. Including the one he was making right now. His eyebrows shot up clear to his hairline and his jaw clocked open for a moment before he managed to comport himself once more. Charlotte, aka Popclaw, also known as A-Train's Man Squeeze, leaned against the door. Clung to it for dear life, really. One look at her told him enough. She was a mess. Eyes red and puffy, what little makeup she wore had been ruined by her tears, even now her shoulders hitched with faint sobs. He wasn't surprised she'd sought him out. He was associated with her, loosely. A useful target for subversion against the speedster, and not above whinging about her less than loyal partner too. Unsurprising. He was surprised, however, that she'd managed to find him here. Was this safe house compromised? Did she know he had A-Train in the basement? No, worry about that later. Focus on her for now. She dithered under his flat stare. "May I come in? This better be worth it." He stepped aside. She stormed her way in, took a quick glance about, noticed the wine rack. "Got anything good?" Noir waved a hand toward his wine cabinet. She all but stomped toward it, ripped it open and selected a green bottle. A poor vintage by his reckoning, but then again she didn't look to be in the best state right now. May was well let her be. She'd clearly come here for a reason, whatever it may be. "Reggie left me," she sobbed, snarled really, as she knocked the bottle back. Damn near drained half the thing in a single gulp. "We had a fight, he stormed out, and I haven't heard from him for 2 days. A quick flick of her wrist and back it went again, polishing off the rest. "I think it's over." Well, well, well. Don't smile behind the mask, he chided himself. "Whatever you do, do not smile. See, this is why I like you, Noir." She spun back to him, another bottle already in hand. "You don't ask any questions. You don't judge me. Not like him." She tore the top off with one of her claws and flung herself down onto his couch. Fuck him and his fucking race and his fucking compound 5. Naruto smiled behind his mask and planked down beside her. Almost immediately she laid her head down on his lap. Right, he should probably check in on A-Train. After all, it had only been a day, or was it 2, 3, 0.0.0. Someone punched him. It was that which finally woke A-Train from his sweet dreams. Clenched knuckles barreled into his jaw at full speed, his head snapped backward like a rubber band, then reality rushed in to reclaim him. Countless aches and pains manifested themselves all at once, and he found himself terribly, horribly awake. He soon wished he wasn't. Bleary eyes blinked against the dark, squinting in the gloom, to no avail. Who the hell did that? Silence. No one answered him. Not a soul spoke. It was terrifying. He tried to stand, tried to run, tried to do anything at all, only to find his body unresponsive. A single glance was all it took to confirm his fears. Someone had shackled him down into a chair and dipped his ankles in wet cement. No, not wet anymore, he realized, trying and failing to move his feet. They'd left him here to harden overnight. He couldn't move an inch. A light snapped on overhead. Against his better judgment, A-Train finally looked up. Someone looked back. A silent and soulless mask of pure, cruel darkness. Well, shit. This boded poorly. Black Noir held up his pad. Sleep well? Shit on a stick. Why was that walking tumor here? Is this some kind of joke? He tried to laugh and failed. Ha, very funny, let me out of here, man. Noir shook his head and turned to a fresh page in the pad. His pen scratched out again. You've been a bad boy, Reggie. Ah, hell, he knew his real name? Shit. Of course he did. This was Black freaking Noir. Boogeyman of the 7. Calm down, play it cool. Noir wasn't someone you wanted to mess with. Man was the very definition of fuck about and find out. Lamplighter learned that lesson the hard way. If he freaked out here, Noir would do him like he did that flamin' bastard. He'd get himself vanished, never to be seen again. No one would care, no one would give a damn. His ego wanted to argue otherwise. He was a train, for crying out loud, more a hero than Lamplighter had ever been. Surely he wasn't going to off him here, right? Skirch. The sound of Noir's pen again paper filled the empty warehouse. Enjoying the 5? Reggie felt his heart skip a beat. V. What the hell is V? Don't know what you mean. Noir held up a little blue vial. Shit, deny. It was his only chance. No idea what that is. No? It was in your bag. Was it? I had no idea. Noir blew out a breathy sigh and shook his head, left, right, left again. The next punch was a Category 5 hurricane in the shape of a fist, flying out of the dark to shatter Reggie's glasses and bloody his nose. Stars burst before his vision, leaving him to slump with a groan. In the darkness he saw Noir's arm cock back again, winding up for another haymaker. All right. His voice burst out in a nasally whine, muffled by his ruined nose. I'll talk. Noir's fist flicked forward. Reggie yelped and flinched all the same, cowering away from the impact. But the pain never came. He creaked an eye open, only to find those clenched knuckles hovering less than an inch from his face. The masked man gave his fist an ominous shake. No need for words there. If he didn't want to die here, might as well be truthful. You don't get it, man. I need this shit. I'm not like you and Homelander or even Maeve. I'm getting old. Slowing down. There it was, the painful truth. He wasn't the first speedster in the 7. Probably wouldn't be the last either, not at the rate his body was going. Gotta stay on top, you know? He glared down at his useless legs. You 3, you've been in the 7 from the start. You're the originals. Anger knotted in him at the reminder. I had to make my own way. Low, raspy laughter filled the air. Anger boiled up in him. You think this is funny? Not at all. A shake of the head. Out came the pad again. Noir wrote with brisk, broad strokes. You ran over a girl today. In a hurry to see Popclaw, were we? Reggie's blood ran colder than Ice Princess herself. At the speed he'd been going. That bitch was dead. Had to be. Shit. You know about. I know everything. The pad slammed into his face, crunching against his bloody nose, getting red all over the paper. You never give a damn about the collateral you cause. Now all of a sudden you care? Because it's your ass on the line? Because you might lose your race, your sponsorships? Well, yeah, if this got out, he'd be ruined. Girl. Is she? Dead? No. The written word brought more relief than he cared to admit. But she and her boyfriend saw you. I had to play damage control. Released a breath he hadn't realized he'd been holding all this time. Damage control, Noir said. Which meant Vought bribed him to high heaven and back. Or they were dead. Either way, they wouldn't be a problem anymore. Still, if there was footage, he would have to say something. I'll make a public statement. Noir slammed a fist down on his leg. An apology, he corrected hastily, yelping in pain. There, I'm sorry. We cool? Noir shook his head and wrote anew. The 5th, where did you get it? Labs are locked down. No one in or out. What? Noir growled. The very act bled menace. I mean, sure, yeah, man, I can deal you in. Far be it from him to ask why the Avenger of the 7 wanted more of the blue stuff. Maybe for a side chick or something? He wasn't about to ask. Besides, if Noir sided with him, well, that was one more barrier between him and Homelander. He was all for that. How much you need? I want to inspect it first. A train nodded, eager to please. Sure, I can give you the address. Perhaps if he'd seen the smile behind the mask, he might have hesitated. Sadly, he was too focused on saving his own hide. Little did he know, he'd just sealed his own fate. 0.0.0. Everyone loved him. Of course they did. And why shouldn't they? He was their hero, their savior, their god for all that mattered. The only man in the sky was him. And no other. Anyone who thought to say otherwise. Well, they weren't around to question him now, were they? Translucent, a train. That new girl whose name he couldn't be bothered to remember, they could go hang for all he cared. Not Noir, though. Noir had been around for, well, as long as he could remember. From the dawn of the 7 and beyond, he'd always been there, a silent shadow, a guiding mentor steering him down the path of stardom. Fitting, given he was the only one he could trust. He'd learned a thing or two from him after all. They were brothers in arms, comrades in this pitiful little world with its pathetic little ants that wanted nothing more than to tear them down. They had each other's backs. No secrets between them, not a one, no sir. which made him real curious when Noir sauntered into the tower with Popclaw's scent all over him. He was the only one aware of it naturally, superior senses and such. Taking A-Train's girl, was he? Vicious of him, he liked that. Really, he did. He was proud of old Noir. Their speedy friend had been getting a bit too big for his britches lately. What better way to put him in his place than to rip the rug out from under him, literally. Truth be told, Charlotte didn't interest him. No, he had other concerns. Wasn't hard to corner Noir after that. He always went to the same place when he was prepping for a mission. He always went straight to the armory, or as they called it, the den. Going on patrol, are we? Noir flicked another knife into his harness and waved a thumbs up his way. So you and the new girl, he gave his shoulder a slap. How'd that happen? Another flick of the fingers, less obvious this time. Right. Homelander thought he got the gist of it. Hasn't happened yet, another nod. But you want it to. Noir gave a half-hearted shrug that bordered on insolent. His heartbeat didn't waver, not once. It never did. Always cool as a cucumber, this one. He might not be able to see his face, but he could still hear his pulse, smell the adrenaline on him, or rather, the lack thereof. Even now his heart remained calm as ever. John liked that. Kept him guessing, you know. You're sweet on her, aren't you? Never thought I'd see the day. He let go of him and spun away, regarding the vast array of weaponry on the table. For a while there I thought you might be, well, you know. He chuckled and traced a serrated knife with one finger, whistled when it cut his glove. Noir grunted and flicked his fingers again. This time John found he couldn't make heads or tails of the increasingly intricate gestures. Could be gibberish for all he knew. Noir was screwy like that. He enjoyed trolling those around him. He'd even been known to play the odd prank or two. Never on him, of course. They were better than that. But this baffled him. He bit back a sigh. Can't you just use the pad? A faint rasp of wordless, mute laughter was his reward. Damn it, he kept meaning to learn sign language, but it was just so hard. So much. Work. He'd never really wanted to learn anything before. Why would he? He had everything and wanted for nothing. And yet, in times like these, he almost found himself wishing he would. Could be like their own secret little language. Yeah, Liked the sound of that. Maybe the work was worth it. But that wasn't the reason he'd come down to the den. No, it was something of a curiosity. I heard you and a train tussled the other day. A pause. And wouldn't you know it, I haven't seen him. His brother-in-arms nodded. Out came the pad again. He's dosing again, compound fifth. Noir never lied. He always told the truth. A spark of anger surged through John nevertheless. A train. Of course he was. That utter idiot. If anyone caught him with compound 5 or, God forbid, Stillwell got wind of it, this little fuck-up would tarnish the image of the 7. His image. It was too soon. This would ruin everything. A wild surge of inexplicable panic surged through him. John strangled his fear until it choked and turned blue. Noir would handle this. He always did. Maybe it was time for old Reggie to be put out to pasture, like Lamplighter. No, he reconsidered after a moment's pause. He couldn't just vanish out of the blue. Irritating as it was, he had a certain following. Unless. He quirked a brow Noir's way. I take it you have a plan. Noir smacked a fist into his palm and ground it against his fingers with visceral intent. This time there could be no misreading him. Good. Leave it to Noir to watch out for his best interests. Further driving his point home, the masked assassin brought out his pen again and scribbled. A full minute passed. Finally he held the pad out. Homelander's brow shot into his hair. Well, that was one way to be rid of the little prick. Clever, too. Homelander laughed. Good hunting, brother. Noir clasped his forearm and shook it. For you see, they were the strong. The strong didn't ask. They took 0.0.0. Now this was a proper patrol. None of those pesky pre-planned routes Vought made, no cameras to look good for, none of it. Just the night air in her hair, and the simple blissful rush of a good bust. It was a strange thing to run away from the sirens after they busted the bad guys, but frankly, Annie would take what she could get. Even now she fought down a tiny grin as she hurtled through the air. A quick glance confirmed Noir only a pace ahead of her, leaping from rooftop to rooftop in a single bound. Before she could ask him to slow down, he gathered himself up and leaped again. But this time, he didn't touch the ground. What had begun as a simple leap soon became so much more. He kicked off the very air itself, hurtled forward, caught a fire escape and levered himself up onto another roof ahead of her. She caught up with him a moment later, gasping for air. "You can fly! How?" She levered herself upright, gasping for air. "Since when?" Noir pressed a finger to his utility belt. A crackle of static filled her ears, drawing a flinch from her, then abated somewhat. "What is that exactly?" She cast his belt a black look. "Do you have?" "Handy thing." His voice was rough as ever. "Keeps him from listening in. White noise plays hell on super hearing." A chill shot down her spine. "Is he nearby?" "Nope." She heard him smack his lips beneath the mask. "Clear across the world right tonight. Crisis in Australia or some such." She released a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding, to which he cheered somewhat. "Better safe than sorry, though. And you can fly, too." "What?" She blinked, somewhat taken aback by his remark. "No, I can't." Her life would have been so much easier if she could. There were so many things she could have flown away from, so many more people she could have saved. "Yes, you can. You just don't know how." He paused, thumbed his chin, considered her anew. "Or you've not soaked up enough juice to do it. Here, hold still a second." His hands snapped out, crackling with blue sparks. She backpedaled. Wait, what are you—" With neither word nor warning, Noir slammed that open palm into her stomach and folded her clean in half. A gasp tore past her lips as her eyes blazed gold. Current arced through her, spreading from the point of impact to every pore of her body. Her fingers furled and her toes tingled. For a moment she felt her hair loft around her head like a golden halo. Then it was done, and she rounded on him with a hiss. "What was that for?" Noir pointed down. Annie followed his gaze, blinked hard now. Her feet were off the floor. Not by much, but enough to notice all the same. She kicked at the air with a yelp, to no avail. "What did you do?" "Self-sustaining bioelectric current. Perfectly harmless. In simple terms, I gave you a boost." "Get me down, please." "It's a lot to get used to, I know." He took hold of her wrist and tugged her back to the ground. "Earlier you asked how I could fly. I like to, you know. Even do it sometimes on the sly, but not where folks can see. If someone like me could fly, that would upset Homelander, I get it." She finished with a grimace. "The only man in the sky is me," he rattled off in a voice that sounded disturbingly like the man itself. "Pah!" He turned his head aside with a snarl. "Makes me sick." A thorn of guilt tugged at her heart. Is he really that bad? Noir fell silent for a moment. His gaze fixated on the streets, and she almost wondered if he'd not heard her. And then, "He's a fucking disappointment," he said at length. "It's like babysitting an overgrown man-child." He blew out a sigh. "There are days when he's almost decent, when I'm there keeping an eye on him. But the second I take my eyes off him, well, he likes to compete against me, see who can save more people." Looking away, he palmed his mask, and she found herself wondering what the rest of him looked like underneath. It works sometimes, other times, not so much. A wistful sigh pierced the gloom. He could have been such a hero if he was raised right. "Do you have to kill him?" "Yes." That black faceless visor stared into her soul. "All of them. I've been playing damage control all this time, holding them back, minimizing causalities, saving lives when they get careless, picking up the pieces when they break people, even healing their victims when I can. No more." His fist clenched. Deep's gone. A-Train is already on his way out. He simply doesn't realize it. Translucent's about to suffer a nasty surprise, and Maeve... Dread dawned. "Oh God, you're going to kill them, aren't you?" From a certain point of view. His broad shoulders rolled in a shrug. "You can't kill what's already dead inside." "Noir!" Booting someone from the Seven she could understand, but killing them in cold blood? "I will never lie to you, Annie. If you've seen half the things I've seen, you'd have nightmares. Maeve's so far gone that she barely cares anymore. Worse, she's jealous of you." "Me?" She recoiled, eyes wide. "Why? Believe it or not, she was like you once. A low, almost wistful bite threaded through the dark night's voice. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, wanting to save people. Did you know she once broke every bone in her arm saving a bunch of kids on a school bus? I did. She had to know. No, she needed to know. What changed? Homelander. Noir dropped down to his haunches, eyeing something in the alley below. His voice went cold again. She caught his eye. Didn't end well. They broke up. She found someone else. A girl. Oh. Homelander didn't take kindly to that. I tried to run interference, but it was no good. She began giving away pieces of herself after that. Little by little, his gloved fingers made a pinching motion. Bit by bit, until nothing was left. By the time I noticed, it was too late. Maybe she can redeem herself. Maybe not. Also, she thinks we're banging. Annie choked. She does? Maeve thinks a lot of things. Not all of them are true. Her lips pursed. It must be a terrible thing to live your life behind a mask. We all wear masks. She still couldn't see his face. He sounded almost amused. All of us. Mine is simply literal as well as figurative. Starlight flung up her arms. You're not going to tell me what you're after, are you? Safer for you that way. Wait, you've named everyone but me. She couldn't quite hide the tremor from her voice. When this is done, when it's over, will you kill me too? That dark visor regarded her for a long moment. Her heart hitched, and not for the first time, she found herself wondering if she'd made the right decision that night. There were times when Noir seemed just and right in his cause, only to turn around frighten her like this. No angel he, but more and more, it was beginning to feel like she'd made a deal with the devil. You're a good person, Annie. His words brought her cold comfort. Stay true to that, and we won't have any problems. A noise below their perch drew their ear. Someone screamed bloody murder. She saw the problem at once. Two men mugging a woman. Noir shot forward. Finally, some action! Annie dithered for a moment. Watched him crash down among them. Maybe she had made a deal with the devil. Maybe this harebrained scheme was doomed to fail. Maybe she'd be dead by the end of the year. But better the devil you knew that one you didn't. And while she knew precious little about Noir, she knew even less about Homelander and the rest. What choice did she have? She'd already bound her fate to Noir. To distance herself now would only ruin all that she'd worked for. She could have all she ever wanted. She just had to stand by and let him slaughter the seven. Maybe, there were no heroes here after all. With a long-suffering sigh, Starlight gathered herself up and leaped into the fray. She'd follow Noir's lead. Come what may. To hell and back. A.N. cackles. We get to see the boys reunited, including Huey and Robin, come the next chapter. Hope you're enjoying the madness. As ever, we're following the Embers rule here. That's no joke, really it isn't. If folks don't like this, well, it won't be continued. Every bit of feedback helps. Reviews are the fuel which keeps me writing in these crazy times. With my tight schedule, 2 jobs, I simply don't have time to write a story folks don't like. Without them, my inspiration cannot take wing, and I can't write a word. So by all means, speak up. So, in the immortal words of Atlas, review, would you kindly? And enjoy some previews. Spoilers ahoy, previews. Ah, my friend, it is good to see you again. Naruto smiled behind the mask and embraced his old ally. Frenchie would always be Frenchie. This motherfucker again? Leaned back, regarding him like some diseased pustule. We working for him now? Butcher belted out a laugh. Other way around, mate. Frenchie quirked a brow. You work for us. Noir waffled a hand to and fro. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, no? Noir flicked him a thumbs up. Huey sighed. Still ain't gonna talk? Butcher of all people came to his rescue. He'll speak when he has something to say, let it be lads and lass. He inclined a nod toward Robin. Now then, he swept a hand across the table. Our goose here, Noir made a disgruntled noise but didn't object, has given us some right juicy intel. Do it, Huey, they'll never stop. This is the only way to make them pay. It would be a shame if a train lost his race. I'm a man of my word. He reached up and removed the mask. Raised his hands now. Smoke billowed forth as he shed the disguise, and she saw. Annie felt her jaw click open. Well, you don't look half bad under that. Was it the drugs? Was she seeing things? Had to be. Noir offered his notepad. In the same moment the camera overhead fizzled and died. Hiya, Cindy, got an offer for you. First, you like breaking out? I could just pop you like a grape and escape myself. You could, something in the tilt of Noir's mask said otherwise, but then I couldn't offer you the sweet dish of revenge. Another page came and went. Don't you want to get back at the people who put you here? What's it to you? The cloth portion of his mask shifted, revealing the smile beneath. Was she imagining that too? Noir wrote something else then, something that made her smile too. I'm listening. The fuck is this? Noir handed him the vial. A gift. After a moment's pause he held the red liquid up to the light. This ain't fifth permanent, is it? In repeated doses you'll be stronger, faster, heal from just about any wound. Hell, you might even be able to fly if you hit the jackpot. But there's a price. There always is. Balls to it. Let's hear it then. You need to keep your anger in check. Focused. If you lose control. It wasn't me, I swear. Naruto inhaled sharply through his nose. I believe you, but you know what they say. Wait, you can Their words died in a gurgle as he tore their head clean off their shoulders. Dead men tell no tales. Oi. That was their only warning. She grinned at him. Harder approximately, you're the only one I can trust, Noir. You're a fucking disappointment. But the photo is a man of focus, commitment, sheer will. You want to tussle with him? Be my guest, but you won't come out alive. Cindy blinked. Once, twice, thrice now. Black Noir was still standing there. He waved at her. Was it the drugs? Was she seeing things? Had to be. She'd been trapped in this cell for so long now, drugged to the gills, barely able to think. Was it any wonder she'd finally started to see shit? She dragged an arm up to scrub at her eyes. Even that effort felt like dragging herself through wet cement. Yep, definitely the drugs. Had to be. Why else would freaking Black Noir be here? He held up a syringe, filled with a strange red liquid. It almost seemed to bubble in the vial. She tried to sit up, tried to move, but the drugs made it nearly impossible. A finger rose, pressing against his mask. Shh! She was too dazed to even resist. He rolled up her sleeve, found a vein and slotted the needle home. The bubbling red light rushed down, swarming into her blood before he could even put his thumb to the stopper. Adrenaline hit, and when it did, it hit hard. Her heart kicked against her chest, and had she a mirror to hand, she would have seen her eyes flash scarlet for all of an instant. Alas, she had no such thing, and even if she did, it wouldn't have mattered. Because her world was overshadowed by unyielding pain, her body bucked and he caught her, held her, keeping from dashing her head against the wall. She snarled into his shoulder. Hurts! He rocked her back and forth until the agony abated, till her mind cleared. Only then did he pull away and offer her his notepad. Her eyes strayed to the camera in the corner above, only to find it drooping uselessly. He'd deactivated it, left it to fizzle and die as he went about his work. Her eyes flitted back to his pad, and the words he'd written within. "Hiya, Cindy. Got an offer for you. First, you like breaking out?" Her brow furrowed. "I could just pop you like a grape and escape myself." She could now, too. Whatever he'd injected her with had left her feeling stronger than ever before. "You could," something in the tilt of Noir's mask said otherwise, "but then I couldn't offer you the sweet dish of revenge." Another page came and went. "Don't you want to get back at the people who put you here? Crush 'em, kill 'em, tear 'em apart? What's it to you?" The cloth portion of his mask shifted, revealing the smile beneath. Was she imagining that too? Noir wrote something else then, something that made Cindy smile too. "I'm listening. 0.0.0. The plan progressed in the coming weeks." Naruto, Noir, took a certain visceral pleasure in it all, nudging some along, holding others back, moving the pieces into place. Some, like Homelander, were easy to manipulate. Tell them what they wanted to hear, give them a bit of love and they fell over themselves to please you. Others, like A-Train, could be controlled through fear. The speedster was terrified, of him, of losing his spot in the Seven, of his ghastly overdependence on Compound 5 being revealed, everything, as he should be. Fear made him foolish. Fear kept him compliant, much like translucent. There were outliers, of course. No true plan survived contact with enemy. Maeve baffled him. After their encounter in the elevator, she'd thrown herself headlong into her training. Surprising. And somewhat disappointing, if only because she was still drinking and betting all manner of men. Now if she'd just sober up and get her head on straight, she might be useful. As things stood, she was too volatile to trust at the moment, much less be near. Starlight, at least, believed in him. And perhaps she were right to. He'd done his best to distance her from the fallout that was to come. "Ah, there you are, Noir. Come in, pull up a seat." Which brought him to the here and now, walking into her den. Blue eyes rolled behind the mask. Nevertheless, he let her guide him to a table. His fingers tightened around the briefcase in his hand. She'd prepared a feast for him, another temptation to make him remove his mask. As ever, he didn't rise to it. He was still winning their little game. Little Nina had connections, useful things for a man who dealt in information. Sometimes her price was a bit higher than he liked, but he made do. Really, she wasn't little at all. If anything, she was quite tall. After all, he was already swimming with sharks. She was a guppy compared to them. Almost made him smile behind the mask. She must have caught it too because her eyes narrowed. "I do like the strong silent type." Her finger tapped at the table with intent. "However, this information you seek," she made a show of dragging out the sentence, rolling the words over her tongue to tease him. "Why do you chase a dead man?" He held up his notepad. Call it a hunch. Homelander had to die, no two ways about it, but he couldn't be the one to kill him. Couldn't be connected to it. Now if there was a weapon that could end that son of a bitch, well. It would be a simple matter of finding someone to point and pull the trigger. Soldier Boy was that key. Whatever had killed him could surely be used on Homelander. Even if it didn't kill him, it could wound him at the least. And if by some chance Soldier Boy was still alive, of course, he couldn't tell Nina any of that. Up came the pad again. "I don't pay you to ask questions. It's none of your concern. I think it is. Don't get greedy." "Me?" Little Nina tilted her head, touched one hand to her bosom, and batted long lashes at him. Perish the thought. He thumped the briefcase down on the table. Her eyes flicked down to it. Back to him. Pity. Her lips curled in a coy smile. And here I had hoped for a glimpse under that mask of yours. I don't want your money this time. I want you, your services. Naruto Noir flicked out a knife and let it dance across his knuckles. On a strictly professional level, it shouldn't have bothered him. He'd done enough already. What was one more body on the pile compared to that? If she wanted him to make another rival disappear, well, it was killing for a cause, nothing more. Pah! Nina scoffed. You silly Americans always so quick to violence. No, she laid a leg over his. I was thinking something more. Personal this time. The knife tickled the underside of her chin and went away. He held up his notepad, a single question etched within. But of course. Nina ran a hand over his, planted it on his shoulder, used it as leverage to haul herself into his lap. The mask stays on. Her smile was sin itself. It wouldn't be any fun otherwise. Her hands rose to cup either side of his face. When I learn who you are, I wish it to be of my own volition, not because you pitied me. He grabbed her by the hips and dragged her into his lap, ripped her skirt. Nina's lips brushed his through the mask. Never pity me, Noir. She spread her legs. They took 0.0.0. Ah, my friend, it is good to see you again. Naruto smiled behind the mask and embraced his old ally. No matter the time or the place, Frenchie would always be Frenchie. It really was good to see him after all this time. He clapped him on the shoulder and let him lead him into the apartment? Could this be called that? Felt too generous, you know. Thinning paint, ugly carpet, foul smell, and he wouldn't trust the beds if his life depended on it. Ugh, more a roach motel than anything else. Still, it served their purposes. Butcher had been busy with the time and intel he'd given him. He saw Eminem lurking in the corner. He was also pleased to see both Huey and Robin in attendance. Hey! The latter, at least, immediately headed his way and shook his hand. Been a while, hasn't it? I mean, I'm sure you've been busy doing things and saving people, and I'm rambling against, aren't I? Naruto clapped him on the shoulder and granted him a silent nod. Good kid, this one. A bit overeager, but he'd go far in this line of work. He'd take some solace in that. These two were alive because of him. If he'd been even a second slower, A train would have run right through them like so much meat. He tried not to think about that. He caught Robin's eye across the way. She nodded once but made no move to approach. Sorry, Huey stepped in with a quick word. She's been a bit off since it happened, but she's getting better. I'm fine, she groused. Just don't feel like talking. Grumbled something unpleasant from the corner. Naruto leaned past him and gave a jaunty wave, if only to rile him up. Worked like a charm. Cut the cheeky shit. Mum leaned forward, regarding him like some diseased pustule. You've got some nerve coming back after all this time. We working for you now? Kurama rolled his eyes. Some people never change, I see. Butcher emerged from a side room, arms laden with electronic equipment. Other way around, mate. Frenchie quirked a brow. You work for us? He waffled a hand to and fro, more or less. Frenchie chuckled. That enemy of my enemy is my friend, no? Noir flicked him a thumbs up. Huey sighed. Still ain't gonna talk? Butcher of all people came to his rescue. He'll speak when he has something to say, let it be lads, and lass. He inclined a nod toward Robin, and received one in return. Now then, he swept a hand across the table, sweeping something he couldn't quite see to the side from this angle. Our golden goose here, Noir made a disgruntled noise but didn't object, has given us some right juicy intel. Their plan was a good one, ruthless in its simplicity. There was just one snag. He held up his notepad. What about the girl? We need to find her. We'll deal with this prick first. Butcher said. Then we find the lassie's got locked away. Frenchie made to protest, only to fall silent as Billy raised his hand. Look, mate, I don't fancy running from a speedster. Best to deal with one arse before we start making waves with another. Robin clicked her tongue. Waves, he says. This'll be a freaking tsunami. Butcher grinned. Exactly. Good. Bastard deserves to pay. Huey squirmed a little but didn't object. Eminem rumbled his assent. Fine. But if this shit goes sideways. Butcher slapped one hand against the table and came. It won't. Have some faith in Frenchie. The Frenchman preened, and said something Naruto didn't quite catch. Whatever it was had him and Eminem bickering all over again. Naruto let them banter with one another. His own thoughts turned inward. He wasn't happy with this latest development, but he could see the sense in it, even if he didn't intend to listen. He caught Frenchie's eye across the room and tilted his head. The Frenchman granted him a quick nod. Unlike the boys and girl themselves, he knew where A-Train's lab was, he just had yet to visit it. If the girl was likely being kept there, he'd find her. One way or another. It was just a matter of sending a clone or two. He'd have her out in a jiffy, none the wiser. Oi, Noir! Butcher's voice plucked him out of his reverie. We're good here, don't you have a race to get to? This time he didn't bother to conceal his smile behind the mask. The vial sailed through the air. He caught it. The plan proceeded. 0.0.0. It would be a shame if a train lost his race. You know what to do then? I do. 0.0.0. A train felt off. Not the good kind of off either, like coming down after a high. He didn't know what this was. Heart hammering in his chest, mouth dry, the roar of the crowd in his ears, it was all he could do to think straight. Was the sun always so damn bright? He squinted behind his glasses, wiped a bead of sweat from his brow, stifled a cough, frowned when his hand came away red. The hell's going on here? Compound 5 was supposed to be that good shit, a boost to his system even if it came with a cost. But this, Reggie felt sick. Slower, sluggish. The vial had been blue, hadn't it? He was sure it was. Noir had delivered it to him personally. So why did he feel like death warmed over? Nah, had to be nerves, had to be. He didn't want to think of anything else. He could see his brother looking his way, frowning. Did he look that bad? You all right? Yeah. He waved a hand at his brother. I'm good. He wasn't. Not at all. His chest ached, his knees were weak, felt like they could buckle any second now. but he couldn't chicken out, not here, not now. He'd be the laughing stock of the world if he bowed out in front of his fans. Fastest man alive? Yeah, right. Man who ran away, more like. Nobody would take him seriously. He had to do this. Win, and everyone would finally stop ragging on him. Lose. No, don't lose. Not that. Anything but that. Screw up here and he'd lose everything. No more Seven, no more sponsorships, no more anything. Washed up. He could hear them. All of them, laughing at him. Worthless, second rate. He looked to the crowd, past them now, saw them staring at him. Homelander, Noir, Maeve. Was it his imagination or were they smirking at him? Their voices echoed in his head. Loser, loser. Such a slowpoke. It'd be a shame if you lost. A train shook his head furiously. When he looked back, they weren't smiling in the least. Or even speaking. Had he imagined it? Was he hearing things? Seeing shit that wasn't there? Wasn't he? They wouldn't say that to his face, would they? He didn't know. Thought and reality began to blur around him. He swayed on his feet, feeling even worse than before. Runners, take your marks. Crap, get into position. The gun went off. Shockwave blurred like his namesake. A-Train hurtled after him. Fast. Faster than him. Nope, not fast, not at all. Bastard outpaced him in an instant. No, no, no. Faster, he had to be faster. He was faster. He should be. He knew he was. Why wasn't he winning? For every step he took, his rival gained 3 more. Everything was moving so slowly. His opponent crossed the finish line first. He shot past him a heartbeat later. He couldn't stop. The wall reared up at him. Cold, cruel, unforgiving. And he knew. Noir. He'd been drugged. Oh, you A-Train struck the wall with an awful crunch. Blood splashed up through the air. It was the last thing he saw. It took 0.0.0. Butcher whistled. Absolutely diabolical. Blood hell, Frenchie, what did you do? Well, 0.0. Well, shit. Homelander clapped a hand to his forehead and heaved a sigh. Distantly, he heard Maeve vomit in the background. He ignored her, just as he did the sirens, the screams, all of it. No, his eyes remained fixed on the grisly stain that had once been A-Train. Wasn't much left of the poor bastard. No doubt they'd call it an accident come evening, a tragedy. A wordless rasp drew his attention. He pivoted with a frown, looking toward his flank. Noir seemed far too smug. His heart rate was calm as ever, but he knew. He could feel it. He knew that look. Their eyes met. A beat of understanding passed between them. Homelander looked back to the chaos below. No one was focused on them. Not its soul. Good. He stepped in, close enough to whisper. Did you have something to do with this? Noir feigned shock and touched a hand to his well-armored chest. I'm not mad. I just want to understand why you did it. Maeve's head whipped around, balking. He did what? He silenced her with a glower. Not so loud. Hey, he laid a hand on Noir's shoulder. You've never lied to me before. Don't start now. We're family, remember? Noir wasn't intimidated in the least. He never was, and he respected that. At length his comrade held up his notepad for him to see. Little more than a scribble, really. But beneath it, something. Only he could see, written in script so minute only a man with his level of vision could see, words. Homelander read them. A beat of silence passed, and another. And then, he smirked. That was his reason? Well, oh, that was rich. Had they been alone, he would have laughed himself silly. Yes, it all made sense, of course. They were sharks, after all, survival of the fittest. A train had forgotten that, and now he'd paid the price. All right then. He settled for a firm embrace instead, the better to hide his smile. Didn't think you had it in you. He looked back to the mess below and feigned a grimace, just in case anyone was looking. Well, that's certainly one way to get rid of dead weight. Put in a word with Shockwave tomorrow. Tell him we've got an open spot. He'd have to go down there now, act like this was a crisis rather than a triumph. He gave Noir's shoulder one last squeeze. Good work. You're a real pal. He took flight without a second thought, descending to the crying, mewling masses. They all looked to him for safety, for explanation, for understanding. He was happy to provide it. His approval rating would improve by leaps and bounds for this. It was so easy to pretend for their sake, and he did so now gladly. Now, he raised both his voice and his arms to be heard by them. The danger's past. Everything's going to be all right. Amidst all that senseless white noise, he never heard Noir laugh. Not a once. Perhaps if he had, he could have avoided what was to come. Noir tittered soundlessly to himself. All part of the plan. Oh no, A-Train died to his own hubris. And drugs. Lots of drugs. Courtesy of Frenchie. Too bad, so sad. As I've said before, ain't nobody safe in his story. Hope you're enjoying the madness. As ever, we're following the Embers rule here. That's no joke, really it isn't, if folks don't like this. Well, it won't be continued. Every bit of feedback helps. Reviews are the fuel which keeps me writing in these crazy times. With my tight schedule, 2 jobs, I simply don't have time to write a story folks don't like. Without them, my inspiration cannot take wing, and I can't write a word. So by all means, speak up. So, in the immortal words of Atlas, review, would you kindly? And enjoy some previews. Spoilers ahoy, previews. Popclaw was crying when he found her, bawling her eyes out. I can't believe he's dead. Kimiko stared at a man in a mask. The man stared back. He swept an arm toward her cell, held out a notepad. Open! She tilted her head, wiped a hand across her grimy face. He wasn't speaking. Was he like her? Leave it, That lad over there, Butcher stabbed a finger at him, is a man of focus, commitment, sheer will. You want to tussle with him? Be my guest, but you won't come out alive. Fine. He took Butcher aside. Got something faux. The fuck is this? He handed him the vial. A gift. After a moment's pause, Butcher held the red liquid up to the light. This ain't fifth permanent, is it? In repeated doses you'll be stronger, faster, heal from just about any wound. Hell, you might even be able to fly if you hit the jackpot. But there's a price. There always is. His lips thinned in a familiar grimace. Balls to it. Let's hear it then. You need to keep your anger in check, focused. If you lose control, do it, Huey. They'll never stop. This is the only way to make them pay. Kimiko made a gesture. Noir tilted his head. Butcher sighed. Oi, you two. Knock that shit off. The duo shared a grin. There's a price on your head, Noir. You've ruffled a few feathers. Want some help? That blank facade stared at him for a long moment. Great! Homelander clapped him on the back. You and me cracking some skulls. It'll be just like old times. I want to make a deal. There will be no deals. I've done my research on you. You're not so tough. Naruto blew out a sigh. Yes, well, your research may have been a little inadequate. You can talk? Wait, no. They stumbled back, balking at their now ruined arm. You shouldn't be able to tar! Their words pitched into a shriek as he shattered their knee. Hurts, doesn't it? He reached around and crushed their fist in his hand, broke their fingers. What do you feel? 1. Confusion. 2. Disgust. 3. Terror. 4 now. I wonder if that's what they felt before they died. Finally, leaving. I mean, it can be quite jarring to discover someone's actually a monster. It wasn't me, I swear. Naruto inhaled sharply through his nose. I believe you, but you know what they say. Wait, you can Their words died in a gurgle as he tore their head clean off their shoulders. Dead men tell no tales. Good? Me? No, I am not a good person. I haven't been one for a very long time. You see, that was you mistake, thinking I'm good. I'm not. Not anymore. Let me tell you all about the definition of insanity. And how it broke a good man, just like I'm about to break you. Butcher opened the door, saw the slaughter, whistled now. Right, those lads are dead. Bloody diabolical, phase 2 begins. Popclaw was crying when Naruto found her. She didn't even hear him enter her room at first, she was too busy bawling her eyes out. But when she did see him, he felt a flicker of pity in his chest. Just a touch, just a tad. It was enough. Noir, he's dead, 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 dead. She flung herself against him and wailed into his chest. I saw the news, please. You have to stay. Don't go. She babbled and clawed at his vest, latching on for dear life. I can't. Don't. Leave me alone tonight. You can stay over, right? You will, won't you? He almost wanted to sigh. It would make things difficult to explain. But she looked so sad, so small against him. At length he nodded. 0.0.0. You're a right cold cunt, you know that? Naruto didn't bother to hide his smile as he sank into the bar's seat beside Butcher. Noir's mask did that for him. And cold, him? Well, maybe, he was, but he certainly didn't regret it. Not for one moment. Sometimes one needed a monster to beat a monster. Butcher wasn't finished with him. He quaffed his drink and fixed him with a steely stare. Her lad's not even a day dead and you're already in her bed. Why? Because he pitied her, owed her really. Popclaw had loved A-Train, he'd killed him, and she had unwittingly aided him in that endeavor. A bit of pleasure and cold comfort was the least he could give her. So what if his actions were dishonorable? This world wouldn't listen to logic. No, actions spoke louder than words, and he'd learned that lesson the first time around. By that logic, what were a few more dead soups? They weren't real heroes after all. Maybe it was cruel of him to think like that. Maybe there was another way. Maybe he didn't care. Charlotte had her use and so she would live, for now. The moment she became an obstacle or a hindrance, he would cut her loose. Could you kill him? I could. He said the words with all the hesitation they deserved, which was to say none at all. Butcher thumped a fist against the table. Then why haven't you? Just feed him his heart and pop the bastard's head like a grape. You know why I can't do that? Yet. He liked to think his voice conveyed what his mask couldn't. The sheer, undiluted hatred he felt toward Vaught's biggest bully. Homelander has to die, not just physically, but in the eyes of the people. All those he's hurt, all those lives he's shattered, murdered, defiled, ruined, all of them. Otherwise you know Stan and Vought will put a spin on it, and he'll come out of this smelling like roses. He slapped a hand against the wall, barring his path. Are you still with me, Butcher? His comrade was silent for a long, agonizing moment. So long as he gets his, he will. Speaking of which, he delved a hand into one of his many belt pouches. Got something for you. The fuck is this? He handed him a vial. A gift. After a moment's pause, Butcher held the red liquid up to the light. This ain't fifth, is this what I think it is? Yep. He smacked his lips, producing an audible pop. Permanent, is it? In repeated doses, you'll be stronger, faster, heal from just about any wound. Hell, you might even be able to fly if you hit the jackpot. But there's a price. There always is. His lips thinned in a familiar grimace. Balls to it. Let's hear it then. You need to keep your anger in check. Focused. If you lose control, Yeah, I hear ya. He pocketed the vial. I'll be careful. A small, sardonic smirk touched his beaded visage. Shall we toast to it then? Don't really got anything to toast to there. Course we do, Butcher scoffed. To the fallen a train, may he rot in hell. To Reggie. Naruto clinked his glass against Butcher's. Good riddance, he won't be missed. Phase 1 was well and truly done. Phase 2 had just begun. Mail point 0.0. Maeve was waiting for him when he returned to the tower. She'd cleaned up, planned a whole speech, even sobered up for the occasion. Imagine her surprise then when he walked right past her. Just brushed. right by, as though she no longer existed. Oh no. She wasn't letting him get away. Not this time. Scowling, she fell into step with him. You did something, didn't you? Noir was the very picture of innocence, insomuch as a masked man could be. She didn't buy it, not for a single solitary second. I know it was you. Her eyes didn't meet his as they walked side by side, didn't have to. Her words spoke for themselves. Grinning like an idiot all morning before he flew off, saying it was all part of the plan. He tried to increase his pace and she linked her arm with his, holding him back. Her lips brushed his ear. You goaded him into this, didn't you? Or got him to accept it somehow? Noir looked to her, touched a hand to his heart and tugged himself free from her. From there he stepped back as though to say, Who, me? Maeve absolutely hissed. Yes, you! Don't give me that silent treatment, you arrogant little... Noir held up his notepad again. Cope, seethe, mauled. Maeve felt her face flush furiously. Why you? Noir waltzed away with a whistle. 0.0.0. Annie wasn't surprised when Noir came to call. The secure, soundproofed room sealed tighter than a sardine can? Slightly less so. But she was beginning to expect such things with him these days. He'd gone to great lengths to conceal his identity from the rest of the Sedmore like the five of the moment, after the Deep's ejection, a train's viscerally unexpected demise, and shockwaves pending acceptance, and she suspected he'd go to greater lengths still to keep it that way. Really, the fact that he trusted her at all was something of miracle already. She knew why. The fact was, she was in too deep to back out now. Even so, his actions shocked her. I still can't believe you did that. Naruto lounged in his seat, reveling in a rare moment without his mask. I didn't do anything. His smug smile said otherwise. The doctors found a cocktail of Class A drugs in Reggie's bloodstream. Really, he should have known better than to run in his condition. A month ago Vought would have tried to cover this up. But you made sure they didn't. It wasn't a question and they both knew it. Did you do something? Noir Naruto shrugged one shoulder. A-Train was a disgrace and he'll die as a disgrace. She frowned. Due to events that you caused. The silence was telling. Oh God, she turned away from him, running both hands through her hair. You really killed him, didn't you? Panic bleated in her brain, rendering her thoughts so much static. I'm an accessory to murder. John knows I offed Reggie and he doesn't care. Of course he didn't. She rounded on him with a keening whine. That's even worse. Naruto tilted his head, rather reminding her of a fox. Is it though? Is really? Annie pinched his cheek and growled at him. Rather than retort, the whiskered warrior sat there and let her rant for the better part of 5 minutes, knowing she had to get it out of her system. By the end, he finally gave her what she wanted. Advice. Proper advice, if not necessarily the kind she'd been expecting from him. You don't need to do anything, just be you. Everything will work out. Easy for you to say, she rounded on him, only to find him donning his mask and making for the door. Where are you going? Nowhere special. He strode past her. Just need to clear our A-gang that's gotten too big for its britches. Annie looked his way, eyes glowing but a little. Want some backup? He shook his head. No, this is something I have to do alone. Why did she have a bad feeling about this? 0.0. They called themselves the Red Cleavers, childish, asinine. Idiotic. They were boys and girls with more bullets than sense, really. He wasn't surprised they'd lasted this long in the city. Real heroes would have rooted them out long ago and mounted their heads on a spike as a warning. But there were no heroes here, and so they had been allowed to persist as people were paid off. As the authorities turned a blind eye to it all, they trafficked in guns, drugs, and people. The first two he could have ignored, but the last? Not a chance in hell. It wasn't hard to track them to their warehouse on the docks or their merchandise. They were waiting for him, of course. A whole squad. Surprising, but not a problem. That suggested they had a mole within Vault, or were being bankrolled by them for some reason or another. He walked right up to them without a flicker of fear, a barrel pressed against his head. Not a step further, hero. Naruto took him in at a glance behind his mask. Bald man, wearing black and red just like the red, heavy accent, tattoos, don't move. There had to be at least 3 dozen like him, if not more, behind those doors. His head tilted the right with barely a sound. Interesting. I said don't move, the leader snarled at him. I've done my research on you. You're not so tough. Just a glorified vigilante on Vaught's payroll. They own you just as much as they own us. Turn around, hero. On the payroll after all, then. Naruto blew out a sigh. He did so love being underestimated. His earpiece began to ring. He ignored it. Instead, he pulsed his chakra, triggering a device in his belt. A wall of white noise went up, drawing a wince from all present. He spoke over it. Yes, well, your research may have been a little inadequate. You can talk? Wait, no. They stumbled back, balking at what they'd assumed to be a mute man. You shouldn't be able to tar? Their pleas pitched into a shriek as his face pulped their face. He grabbed them, spun them around, using them as a shield. Hurts, doesn't it? He reached around and crushed their fist in his hand, broke their fingers. What do you feel? 1. Confusion. 2. Disgust. 3. Terror. 4. Now. I wonder if that's what they felt before they died. 5. Finally, leaving them a screaming mess. I mean, it can be quite jarring to discover someone's actually a monster. He grabbed them by their broken hand, pinching their median nerve. Are you a monster? A whale was his reward. No, please. Naruto inhaled sharply through his nose. I believe you, really I do. But you know what they say. What? No. Wait, wait, wait. Those whimpering words died in a gurgle as he tore their head clean off their shoulders. Dead men tell no tales. One of the gunmen shrank back, brandishing his rifle as though it would save him. You don't do this. You're supposed to be good. You're a hero. Hero. Pah. What did they know of heroes? Good? He cocked his head. Me? No, I am not a good person. I haven't been one for a very long time. He waded in. Bullets bounced off his chest. He grabbed the first man in reach. You see, that was you, mistake. Thinking I'm good? I'm not. Not anymore. Blood fountained forth as he tore them in half and cast them aside. Let me tell you all about the definition of insanity. He drove his heel down, obliterating a woman's knee, and how it broke what you'd call a good man. His knife flicked out, opening a throat, just like, I'm about off when arms, to break. Legs now, you. His shoulders shook with silent mirth. He flicked a device on his belt and the lights died. Cries of shock went up. A flashbang followed, dazing them yet further. Then he was upon them. Rifles barked. Muzzles flashed briefly, lightening the dark. It was freeing to fight as he wished. To crush and ill men and women before him, knowing they wouldn't be able to tell a soul, much less live to see tomorrow. Criminals went to prison. Dogs got put down. That rationale hadn't failed him before, and it didn't now. A clumsy right hook swept past him, its owner still dazed by the flashbang. He swayed aside, diverted it with one hand, and struck where the joint was the weakest. Bone burst through skin in a wet red pop, and his foe fell with scream. He was still screaming when a knife pierced his chin and nailed his tongue to the roof of his mouth, piercing his brain. He let the gawping little shit drop and flowed onto the next, striking like a living shadow. On and on he went, breaking and bending idiots, folding them in half and cracking skulls. There were more of them than he'd expected. How tiresome. This was taking too long. He needed to hurry up before... The lights snapped back on with a rush. A shadow fell over him. Evening, boys? Homelander. Of course the big bully would notice the melee. And help? Him? He needed none at all, but he could hardly say that now, could he? He alighted beside him and cocked his head to the left. You look nervous, Noir. A lie, of course. He had perfect control of his heartbeat. Anxious? Bah! If anything, he was furious. Seems there's a price on your head, pal. You've ruffled a few feathers. What do you say? I've got a few minutes. That blank facade stared at him for a long moment. Great. Homelander mistook his silence for acceptance and clapped him on the back, grinning like the idiot boy he still was at heart. You and me, cracking some skulls. It'll be just like old times. John clapped his back and turned away, casually lancing a gunman in half with his heat vision. Naruto twitched. Cocky little shit, wring his neck, you know you can. He could. Homelander was many things, but he wasn't invincible. It would be so easy. Just grab John's head and twist. Or mob him with shadow clones. The idiot wouldn't be able to stop him in time. He'd die. And millions across the world would mourn him as a fallen hero, not the monster he was at heart. With a deep breath he let the anger go. For now, Phase 1 was done. Phase 2 had just begun. Phase 3 would see Homelander ruined. And scene. It a delight to write this merry madness again. Hope you're enjoying the madness. It's really about to ramp up. As ever, we're following the Ember's rule here. That's no joke, really it isn't. If folks don't like this, well, it won't be continued. Every bit of feedback helps. Reviews are the fuel which keeps me writing in these crazy times. With my tight schedule, 2 jobs, I simply don't have time to write a story folks don't like. Without them, my inspiration cannot take wing, and I can't write a word. So by all means, speak up. So, in the immortal words of Atlas, review, would you kindly? And enjoy some previews. Spoilers ahoy, previews. In today's news, Homelander and Black Noir broke up a human trafficking gang known as the Red Cleavers last night, and rescued dozens. Naruto's brow shot up into his hair. A date? Annie stared him down. Is that a no? It's a maybe, why ask me? Butcher opened the door, saw the slaughter. Whistled now. Right, those lads are dead. Bloody diabolical. Maeve seemed sober for once. How very refreshing. And she'd showered. Miracle of miracles. Can we talk? And what would that be? Code to the soup's tracking chips. Huey shot to his feet. Say what now? We've got a back door into the system thanks to him. Him? Mem leaned back. I've said it before and I'll say it again, I still don't trust no man in a mask. This stinks, Butcher. How do we know you ain't working for Vought? The silence that followed was nothing short of cold. Care to rephrase that? Sorry man, went too far, but I still don't trust this guy, enough. Noir rolled up the cloth part of his mask up and made an odd sign with his fingers. A plume of smoke swelled up around him, consuming his body from head to toe. And then, just because he could, he added a twist to it. As it cleared away, Eminem found himself staring at the spitting image of, well, himself. Frenchie felt out his chair. Sacre bleu. Butcher scoffed. Not bad, eh? You knew he could do this shit? He's a freaking shapeshifter. Nah. I didn't sign up for none of this voodoo shit. He could make our lives hell. Who's to say he hasn't already? He will if you don't sit your ass down. Change back, Frenchie drew him aside. Little Nina, she cannot be trues, you know this, no? Noir was silent for a long moment, and then, balls to it! Butcher bellowed across the room. Just talk. Room's soundproofed. I can trust her to act in her own self-interests. And if she comes after you, or me, then I will kill her. Frenchie opened his mouth, closed it. He bobbed his head instead. That is fair. As for this little translucent problem of yours, Noir slung an arm around his shoulder and leaned in. It helps if you think of him like a turtle. Hard on the outside. Realization broke like the dawn across his face. Soft on the inside, brilliant. Noir flicked him a thumbs up. Oui, if you weren't wearing that mask, I would kiss you. Leave it, That lad over there, Butcher stabbed a finger at him, is a man of focus, commitment, sheer will. You want to tussle with him? Be my guest, but you won't come out alive. Fine. Kimiko stared at a man in a mask. The man stared back. He swept an arm toward her cell, held out a notepad. Open? She tilted her head, wiped a hand across her grimy face. He wasn't speaking. Was he like her? Kimiko made a gesture. Noir tilted his head. Butcher sighed. Oi, you two, knock that shit off. The duo shared a grin. Butcher grinned down at the crater and the smoldering corpse within. Ha! Got the bastard! Nina tilted her head. And what can you offer me? A bag of cash thumped down on the table. Her eyes flicked down to it. Back to him. Pity. Her lips curled in a coy smile. And here I had hoped for a glimpse under that mask of yours. Crimson Countess held out her hands. Please, Noir. I just need a little more. Just a little. I want to stay like this. In my prime. Noir sighed, and held out the vial. It wasn't blue, or green, but a deep crimson, just like her namesake. She didn't know where he got the stuff. Frankly, she didn't care. All that mattered was that he cared, enough to keep coming back after all these years, enough to visit an old has-been like her. A smile fluttered across her face. She surged forward, wrapping her arms around him, and laid a kiss on his chest. Thank you. I've done my research on you. Yes, well, your research may have been a little inadequate. You can talk? Wait, no. He stumbled back, balking at the now bent gun in his hand. You shouldn't be able to tar? Hurts, doesn't it? What do you feel? Confusion? Disgust? Terror? I wonder if that's what they felt before they died. I mean, it can be quite jarring to discover someone's actually a monster. That face. You're not Black Noir, not the one I know. Nope. The man smiled at him and clapped him on the back. I am not. Come on. I've got some spare clothes in the trunk. Wait, a hand gripped his arm. Did you kill him? Yep, which brings me to my next talking point. This is your one and only chance, soldier boy. Chance for what? For redemption, for vengeance. Let's make it count. And guys, this is the end. I hope you guys enjoyed well. Until next time, peace.